I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue.
I mean, Keir Starmer's not.
Well, he did make a call about this.
No, Keir Starmer is every bit as enslaved as Donald Trump is. It is illegal. It is a crime for which you can be arrested in Britain right now, criticizing Israel.
I want to cut my off and scramble my brain with fucking fluoride. I'm gonna win because Netflix is worth $3 trillion. I can't believe the dollars are this high.
It's a society that hates God. It's a society where the family is completely deconstructed and destroyed. It's a society that hates Nazis but loves communism.
You're always confronted with the same stupid question. Does Israel have a right to exist? Does Israel have a right to exist? The real question at this point is whether the rest of the world has an obligation to put an end to this. Put an end to this. Put an end to this.
Hello, and welcome to the Right Wing Pulse. I am your host, Matt from Foulball Productions, and I thank you very much for spending your time with me on this Sunday evening. We've got a great show planned. We, as in me, your host, and the only person involved in making this show happen, with the exception, of course, of ZebBoykin and Atlas Thugged, who very graciously host me on this channel. But other than that, it's all me, baby. So if you don't like the thumbnail, or you don't like the intro, or you don't like the host, well, I don't know. Sorry. I apologize. But welcome to the show, guys. We got a lot to talk about today. As we did last week, basically just talked about a bunch of little clips. I kind of broke down like little snippets. Well, today we're not going to do that. Today we're going to talk about two episodes in particular, and we're going to get into... One is a long-form debate, kind of like a panel debate by this guy, Brad Palumbo, whom I don't know. He seemed like kind of like a centrist to me, to be completely honest. Probably more of like, I don't know, a moderate. He's pretty boring and gay. But the conversation was good because there was a lot to dunk on from a bunch of different angles, right? I definitely appreciate conversation on the right, especially where it's like constructive and we can agree or talk about it or constructively disagree. But here on this one, we're going to have some fun because we're going to be able to dunk on John Doyle. Sorry, did I misspell that in the description? My bad. I apologize. I put a G and a D, They're right there on the keyboard. It was my bad. I'm sorry, John. We're gonna have a chance to dunk on him for his like completely down the line Trump, simping essentially his takes. And then there's this pukey little kid. I don't know his name, but he just reminds me of Harry Sisson. He's just like a Democrat Party apparatchik. Just a guy who's just like, actually, I don't think it's about that. It's just about being a decent person, trying to be cool and young and hip for the DNC. It's like super, super lame. So we're gonna be able to talk about that. Also, you're getting a lot of Dave Smith tonight. I hope that's okay. If it's not, my apologies for you not liking Dave Smith, but we're getting a lot of Dave Smith tonight because he was the guest on Provoked this past Friday, which is a show that Scott Horton and Daryl Cooper do every Friday on their channel. And he was on there today. And man, there's a lot to talk about there. So as it stands right now, I think we're basically just going to break down those two videos, but they are quite long. Excuse me. And they should provide us like with a lot of content. So I'm pretty excited. I think it's going to be fun. Let me see who's here in the chat. Hello, Atlas Burner. What's going on? You can never get enough Dave Smith. Beyond Absurd says. I don't know if that's sarcasm because someone was annoyed when I did the first episode of this show, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, go ahead and bring on your base Jew. They're always gonna turn on you. There's no way you can trust them." I was just like, did this guy just get dumped by like a Jewish girl or something? Like he's particularly salty about this. It's just like, I don't know, man. I like Dave Smith. Like he's cool, he's smart, he's funny. I think he's a good guy to listen to. It doesn't mean I agree with him on everything, but I like engaging with his ideas. It's just weird to have that reaction. Like, he's like, all right, bro, fucking calm down. Mr. Massie. Dean Withers looks like a prison girlfriend. Is that his name? Is that who that is? Dean Withers? I think you're right. Yeah. It's funny. We're not going to talk about Fuentes much. I know how much that upsets some of you. But it is funny because, like, you know, Fuentes is a little manlet himself, and he, you know, self-described. But there's not, he doesn't come across like feminine to me at all. Whereas like this kid does. There's just something more like, there's just like little brother energy at this kid. You know, you just want to like knock him over, you know, there's just something about it. And it's not just because we, you know, he's a completely manufactured entity with no like real, you know, no real persona. There's just something about him. You're like, shut up, shut up, kid, you know? Yeah, big fans around here. LRX, big. This is a huge, it's a safe space. It's a safe space. You might not after we get into that Provoked episode, I gotta say. Some of the things that they go over there, there's a clip from, is it John Podhoretz? I always forget which is the father and which is the son, but I think it's John Podhoretz. Yeah, I mean, he basically just, if any goy said these things out loud, you'd be like, well, that guy's going to get in trouble for anti-Semitism. But when they say it, it's like that meme. It's like when you just repeat it back. It's like, that's anti-Semitic. It's like, I repeated what you just said. Anyway, dude is pure estrogen. I agree. There's another guy. I've talked about my buddy before, my buddy Mike. He's a bit of like an intellectual Marxist on the left, and he got me to listen to a podcast called Doom Scroll with Jason Citarella. I think that's the guy's name. And I'm watching this podcast. And I'm like, bro, I can't, man. Like this guy like lactates. Like I just can't listen to this guy. This is like, it's not even about the ideas. I'm just like, this dude is so soft. I can't do it. Anyway, Hippocratic oath. Hello, oy vey. Yes, it is Dean Withers. You are right. Smash the like or you're Milo. That's correct. Boom. He's right. Smash the thumbs up or you are indeed Milo Yiannopoulos. Ugh. You know, there was a moment there when things were so bleak back in like, what was that, 2015? Maybe even earlier. When things were so bad in the media environment that nobody was saying anything based publicly. It just wasn't allowed. It was illegal, verboten. Where his like first things that he broke out and said, where he's like trashing feminism, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I agree with the gay Jew. But yeah, no, that guy's that term grifter gets thrown around quite a bit, but he's legitimately is a grifter. You know, I think that it's not something that we should shy away from using. It's just we should use it precisely. Because it's just anyone who like, then people are just like, oh, you disagree with me, therefore you're a grifter. And it becomes a completely facile term. Like it needs to be applied accurately, but he's a grifter. And I kind of feel like Goyle's a grifter too. Doyle, God, I keep doing that. Stupid. Sorry, my mistake. Who else is here? Ginger Anagram, what's going on? From John Doyle to Haim Goyle. Shake my head what Jewish money does to a motherfucker. Yeah, well, we are going to talk about that. Hello, Patriotic Dad. Just found your channel. Well, this isn't my channel, but welcome, Patriotic Dad. This is ZebBoykin's channel and Atlas Thugs. I'm just a creator here, but thank you for being here, brother. Thank you for being here. All right, so let's just do a little promo for my buddy Joey for the Right Wing Coalition. Not that he needs it, but I think you guys would appreciate this guy. I think you'd appreciate his content. He did a video, years ago, months ago, talking about Gen Z from liberal to far right, like the kind of political journey that generation, a lot of y'all went on. And it was a banger, man. Really good video. And then he wrote it as an essay for a journal called Arctos. And now it's a book. That you can purchase legally, paperback. You don't even need to go to some banned book site. You can actually buy it. And he followed it up with a video today. Now, it's a long video. It's 32 minutes. It's also not something that I could really comment much on, except to just be like, great point. I agree. But I'd like to give him a little bit of promotion. So we're going to play, maybe the first few minutes of it, just to kind of, talk about it a little bit. Because I feel like Joey does great work and deserves more shine. So let's listen to a little bit of his video.
Of society continue to fall. And for some reason, the elder generations are having an extremely difficult time addressing this reality with any degree of honesty. It doesn't matter if it's inflation, the cost of housing, the national debt, immigration, rising crime rates, or DEI. Any broad structural criticisms about society from the youth are slammed as entitled, ignorant, or due to inherent laziness and perhaps a victimhood complex. Their reflexive dismissal may have let them escape these turbulent conversations for the last few decades, but now, as the pillars of modern civilization collapse before our eyes, there isn't much of a way to avoid them anymore. And while the consequences of all this have yet to play out in totality, their demise has given us a critical opportunity to reevaluate so many of the foundations that modernity previously rested upon. And as we do, we're rapidly discovering that nearly all the presumptions of modernity are not actually infallible commandments from the heavens. The many directives that we've been given from the...
You know, just that one point, just that one thing that he just he kicks the video off with. It is unbelievable, honestly, how much conditioning you get. Now, I'm sure this is true about every single society, but I mean, the amount of conditioning that I have to like even uncondition myself to. You know, it kind of... I'm 41. I just turned 41 on Friday, so it's like I'm 41 years old, and like I'm starting to understand like the boomer mentality a little bit. Because I really think the older you get, it is harder to like untie the knot of like the you know, your programming, the things that you were raised to believe. Like I think it's very hard to like completely undo all of that. Much of that is just in your programming, and I'm really starting to recognize that in myself in a way that I don't think I had been. Like I knew there were things where it was like, oh, I was told this, or I have this presumption, or so on and so forth, but I don't think I realized to the degree now of like how like completely they get you, they fry you, they cook your fucking brain. But you know, his whole thing with these priors, these sort of this framing that they give you about the world, the way it works, and you know it's like they just say it. It's like they just repeat it like a mantra, like they're in a cult. You know, they just repeat the phrase. You know, like work hard, it'll pay off. You know, find a nice girl, like as if, but without any kind of input, without any kind of result. Like they did all this stuff, they repeated all the mantras, and then they look at the society that has a completely, you know, like it does not align with the promises and the makeup and the loadout that they gave us, and yet they just keep saying it. They're not making any adjustments at all. They're just marching towards hell with the same mantras and the same worldview. You got to work hard, you know, don't buy coffee. It's just all this crazy shit. And it's like I have some buddies right now, like there's that are like in Japan. And it's like, they're like, dude, you won't believe how fucking cheap everything is. It's so unbelievably cheap here. And it's like, I've heard the pushback, maybe that's just the tourist areas or whatever. But it's like, if there's any part of that area where you can like get lunch for $10, it's like, bro, something's going wrong. Like something's fucked up. You know, like it shouldn't be a luxury to go out for lunch once a week. You know, not that you have to, but it shouldn't be such an ostentatious luxury to buy lunch, you know? Anyway, Alex Jones is right, Goyam. Alex Jones is the man. Ben Shapiro is our supreme leader. That's right. I'm with you on that. Mind fucking the sheeple. Indeed. Is this channel Groyper aligned? Clearly, I'm sleep maxing on creators, lol. Yes. You know, it's a little contentious here. It goes back and forth. It kind of depends on the population of the chat, to be completely honest. I am Groyper aligned. When I see patriotic dad with the American flag fist, honestly, what I think, and this is just my impression, I assume you're like a MAGA guy who's like, no, listen, fucking idiots, libs. Listen, libs. The war in Iran, they say death to America. That's just the impression I get from your avatar. I'm not saying that's you. I don't know anything about you, but that's just when I saw that, I was like, I don't know if this guy's going to have a fun time here. Okay, he says no. All right. Okay, that's just what I saw. But yeah, welcome to the churn.
The older generations have turned out not to be immovable laws of nature. In fact, it's become clear that a great deal of them are merely the manifestations of a worldview that we're certain we want no part of. Admittedly, it's taken a while to recognize all this. The two previous generations mostly went along with it because despite the fact that some of the contradictions embedded in the boomer worldview had already...
You know what? Just going to interject there for a moment. When he says the previous two generations, now there's something that I hear Gen Z talk about a lot. Is this concept of millennial optimism, and I'm a millennial, and I have fucking no idea what they're talking about. And I'm not trying to be like, no, listen, kids. I'm like, I don't remember my generation being optimistic at all. I was 16 when 9/11 happened, and then the Iraq War happened when I was 18. And then it just dragged on, and it was horrible. And the economy was shit. And then Obama, was supposed to be the savior, and he was horrible. And then we had like the worst financial crisis crash, in like since the Great Depression or whatever. And then there was like, Occupy Wall Street, and then everyone lost their mind with Trump. Like, I don't remember this time in my life when we as a generation were just like optimistic. I feel like we were as blindsided by, I think it's just the reason why millennials are like a little bit different is like we're getting to the game late because we grew up with the internet, but we didn't grow up with the internet that y'all grew up with. Talking to Gen Z here, y'all had like kind of YouTubers and shit already. You have like, we had like forums. I had dial-up when I was a kid. I had 56K, We got cable as I got a little bit older, but mostly I used the internet for like porn and video games. Like I wasn't looking up Hitler edits, you know what I mean? I wasn't translating, any of the Munich speech or anything like that. Like we just, we had our program, and then when we get out into the world, we're just like, what the fuck is this? Like, why am I getting all these like race, gender lectures in college? Like, what's going on? Like, we didn't have any. I think you guys got a lot of information. So I think we were optimistic. I really wouldn't use that word. I'd say more like delusional. we were just more in the dark for longer, I think is really what it comes down to. I don't know. That's my perception of it. Mark Vendy, we had to hope something didn't randomly spam CP with little worry of consequence. What are you talking about? Are you talking about? I have no idea what you're talking about. Okay. There must be a conversation here that I'm missing. I don't really know what's going on here. Kexted. We were not optimistic either. We just didn't whine about it on social media. Lol. Must be a Gen Xer. Must be a Gen Xer here. Okay, yeah, Gen X is the most self-congratulatory generation I've ever encountered in my life. And not to mention, you were the generation that first like mainstreamed like feminism and being soy. Remember the early 90s with like all the fucking John Cusack and Janine Garofalo, all that shit. That was you guys. So you are completely guilty as well. Somehow my generation gets crushed for being the first like woke gay generation. I'm like, not so fast, okay? You had the Reaganites in the 80s, and then these whiny pussies are just like, man, let's let Clinton, Reagan, moral majority. So relax. Fucking relax, Patriotic Dad, Epstein files, mass deportations, immigration in general, no new wars, etc. They have dropped the ball on everything. Fucking based. Let's go, dude. All right. Yeah, you are a patriot. I still would have, it's still based on that. I'm like, is he a MAGA spy? Is he infiltrating the dissident right spaces to be like, report what's going back on? I'm just fucking around. I remember all those gay 90s MTV hosts. Yeah. It just, I think like back then it was just like, whatever. Cause we didn't recognize that there were consequences. Yeah. Oh, you were talking about the early internet, Mark. Okay. I had no idea what you were talking about. Sorry. Early internet. You just stumble upon that stuff in random places and cops couldn't keep up and get them. I don't really think I don't really remember that. I spent a lot of time in like science fiction forums, and I was playing Half-Life 2, like Team Fortress 2. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, look, the early internet was the Wild West, so it wouldn't even surprise me. Lord of the Ree, what's going on? Gen X started gay open borders libertarianism. Base, take that, Gen X. Fucking self-congratulatory queefs. Oh, you were born in 1990? Oh, okay. Whatever, dude. John Goyle. Yeah, let's fucking go. All right, there was something. Millennium optimism is real. Look, I'm going to dig into this. I might even do a video on it because I'm kind of curious because I don't remember having that at all. I remember being like wildly cynical all the time. I mean, that's why we voted for a black guy. You know what I mean? That's how bad things got. Okay? All right? what is this? Gen X and early millennials, Zennials are sociopathic, they amped degeneracy with all the metal, rap, and Jerry Springer media. Look, you don't know what it was like back then, okay, brother? You don't know. No, it was just a different time back then because, media was so sanitized and false, it was, and that's all we had. We had TV, and it was so fake. It stunk. Like, I'm not counting myself in this group, I understand, but it was like, but once you had anything that was like edgy, it was like, whoa, we like ran to it because it was like, are those curse words, boobs? It was the contrast. We didn't have the whole spectrum of the entire world like in our phones, in our hands. Patriotic dad, absolutely fair, brother Lowell. And I was for sure, but I'm a free thinker and I'm trying to find some good people that aren't, quote, mind-spewing nonsense and refuse to criticize Trump. Let's go, brother. You're in the right space, man. You're in the right place. Fucking welcome along. There was somebody, here we go. Keckstead. We're gonna move on. That's Joey's video. Check out Joey's video. I know that wasn't much, but it's like, just watch it on your own. Like, it's a really good video. He just put it out today, and it's totally worth watching. I'll even put it in the chat. But I forgot about this. I was going to mention this. Thank you for bringing it up, Keckstead. He says, thanks for calling out Rebecca. Somebody needed to call her out, and most won't do it because she is pretty. So interesting that you say this. So we had a little bit of a back and forth in the comments section of the last episode that I did here. And then Atlas Thug talked about it on his show earlier this week, the other night. And, it became this thing. And so I was just like, well, let me just reach out to her. Let me just see if maybe she'll have a conversation. Maybe she'll talk. And shockingly, she agreed. So me and Rebecca are going to talk on my channel, on Foul Ball Productions. We haven't locked down the date yet, but it'll be either Tuesday or Thursday on my show. So keep an eye out for that. If it's not this week, hopefully it'll be next week. But keep an eye out for that. So we are going to talk a little bit more. And it's going to be a respectful conversation. I don't bring people onto my channel to set them up or to dunk on them or to like viciously argue. If someone's going to come on my channel, it's going to be a good faith discussion. So that will be happening though. Yeah. So it was an interesting exchange. Look, I just called it like I saw it. I was like, I don't know where you're getting this from. Like, I think it's fine to not agree or not to have the exact same perspective on a guy like Fuentes or whatever. I just thought what she was saying was so off base. I was like, I don't even know where you're getting this from. He hasn't changed at all. What's he changed about? What are you talking about? But anyway, so beyond absurd. Yeah, see, this is the thing, Patriotic Dad. There's a lot of back and forth here. There's a lot of people that hate Nick Fuentes, and there's a lot of people like myself that really like him. But I mean, that's part of the gig here. But, all right. So, oh, geez, what's going on here? Okay. Hey, what up, Zeb? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, homie. What is up, Smelly Balls? Good to see you, homie. Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, Rebecca. That's the one. Blonde in the Belly of the Beast, Rebecca. That is her. Rebecca Hargraves, I believe her name is. What's my name, channel specifically? My name is Foul Ball Productions. Oh, it doesn't. Does it not have my name? Oh, it does. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Foul Ball Productions. So check that out. The MFR Podcast is the name of my show because my name is Matt Fowler. Isn't that clever? Yeah. So that's that with Rebecca. I don't really have too much else to say about it. Like the thing was too, like, to be completely honest and reasonable. Like when I talked to. Like what I said to Rebecca, I just kind of reiterated what I said when I did my coverage of it. I didn't feel like I had anything else left to say. There was nothing. I feel like I made myself very clear, and so there's nothing too. I don't really have anything else to add. I said everything I wanted to say in the video or in the stream last week. But yeah, we're gonna have like a full-on conversation. Hopefully this week. I don't really know. It's kind of dependent on her schedule. I can't force her to do it. She's got her own schedule and agenda. But when she does, you'll know about it. It'll be super fun. Uh-oh. What are they spelling out? I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Keckstead, just subscribe. Good content, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you. That's fucking awesome. Thank you very much for the $1.99 super chat. I appreciate you, man. Yeah, Tuesday nights, we have fun. No, I can't say that. That's Basil. We have fun here. That's Basil's thing. All right, let's get into, hey, what's up, Atlas? How you doing, brother? Good to see you, man. Good to see you, homeboy. Just talking about Rebecca Hargraves and your coverage of her and me, and the fact that she's going to be on the show soon. Like I said, I haven't locked down the date. When I lock down the date, you'll know, but I haven't locked that down yet. So I'll have to, I have to go with people's schedules. But anyway, what's going on, man? All right, so let's. That's pretty funny. Little pun, little foul balls, smelly balls pun. Very nice, very nice. All right, so let's get into the debate. So this was a guy I don't really know. Like I said, I think he's a bit of a centrist. His name's Dave Palumbo. He had some fucking soft ass takes, but whatever. I think he's kind of doing like the host gig is the impression that I got. But he had on Dave. What is this kid's name again? I keep forgetting. The kid on the right. Chris Mowry? Is that his name? I don't even know. It doesn't really matter. He's really just going to be a leftist for us all to come together and dunk on. Like we had some heat last week when I came to me praising Fuentes, and I can still see some in the chat. So this week we're not going to do that. This week we're going to dump on John Doyle. God, I keep doing that. And whoever this little fucking pussy ass kid is. Okay? So we can all agree on that, right? We could all come together as right wingers, whether you like Fuentes, whether you hate him, but we can all agree to dunk on John Doyle and this soft little pussy, right? Right? All right. So let's, what do you got here? Target 805. Palumbo is another guy who's pushing the woke right label. I remember when he had that feminist chick as his co-host. Who? Well, I would like to know who. I don't know. Hannah something? Oh, okay. Yeah, that's pathetic. Anyone who was pushing that is absolutely pathetic. I remember when James Lindsay really coined that and just kept going with it and going with it. Would you shut up? No one's buying this. And it got so astroturfed as like a phrase because it was just, I see the difference. If you're not pro-Israel, you're woke, right? Okay, guys, this is fucking transparent as hell, man. Goyle is your average Nick hating chatter. That's a good one. I like that. Millennials are the most PSYOP generation ever. We're the most PSYOP generation ever? How is that? The boomers are the ones who just got one-shotted by the PSYOP. They never even thought twice about it. They just went along with it. I don't know about that. I was based when I was born, bro. Okay? Yes, Palumbo is a Kalshi associate. Yes, he does point that out in this video, which is lame. That's gay. But let's play a little bit of the video. Let's get into a little bit of John Doyle with a D, not with a G. Don't say John Goyle. That's not right. His name's D, not G. I messed it up. I put the wrong thing in the description. I can't change it now.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
John, I'll come to you first. You have a very different opinion on Thomas Massie than certainly me and perhaps some of our other guests. That's why I wanted you here. Help us understand why I'm wrong and we are better off with a Congress that does not include Thomas Massie.
Well, I guess it depends. I don't think that you and I are exactly aligned politically. And so I think even embarking from first principles, we may run into some trouble here. But I just think that the reason that the country has been so upended in the past few decades is because of the sort of political hegemony of the Democrat Party. I view Donald Trump and his administration, especially his second administration, to be a unique opportunity to perhaps correct some of that. And I look at characters like Thomas Massie, who I really have no personal issue with.
I guess we'll have to have like a poll. Like, who has the gayest voice? John Doyle, Vrilliam, or Basil? Who's got the gayest voice? In fact, I'm going to make that poll right now. Let's start a poll. Who has the gayest voice? I love that. That's funny. All right. Boom. Poll's live. Let's go. I can't wait to see the results of this. Let's fucking go. Nobody is gayer than Gates Garcia. Oh, that guy is gay. That guy's a pussy. I hate that guy. Because he's my age, but he's doing the boomer thing. He's LARPing as a boomer. Ew. Like, how could you be lamer than to LARP as a boomer? Kill yourself, dude. Oh my God. Oh my God. All right.
With, I remember when I was in high school, I think Thomas Massie used to be my phone background or something, sort of the remnants of like the Tea Party libertarian era. And I had a lot of respect for the guy, but it seems to me that in the past few years, he was happy to kind of make himself an avatar for right-wing opposition to the president, which I just don't think is useful or productive. And I don't know if I could speak to whether what's really on his mind or what's really in his heart, because I don't know that, but I ultimately disagree with the way that he's choose to conduct himself. And I think that the voters in Kentucky reflected that as well. And so I am happy that he's out insofar as it means that we don't have a model on the right wing for being successful in politics while being in vocal opposition to the president, because I think that the reason the Democrats are so effective at governing is because they are always in complete lockstep with each other. There is no meaningful dissent on that side of the aisle. And insofar as there is, those people are not rewarded with book tours and media tours and other positions. On the right, we don't have that. On the right, if you are actually dissenting from the president, you can be rewarded, typically within a left-wing media infrastructure. And so I think that's why we're bad at winning. And so, yeah.
So John Doyle's assertion right there is that if you disagree with, if you're like on the the dissident right, you're not down with the mainstream GOP. What will happen is that you'll be rewarded by mainstream left-wing media. Like, I don't even know how to tackle that. Like, I honestly don't even really know what he's talking about. It's like, who? Like, there's definitely rhinos are real. Rhinos are real, but like the Democrat, the liberal media establishment likes to beat up on them just as much, even if they know behind the scenes that someone like Mitt Romney is going to just be a complete non-patriot, non-America first type guy. He's not going to get any favors in the liberal media. It's actually almost worse for those guys. Like, they have to be like straight up operatives because they're going to get crushed on both sides. The right's going to crush them and the left's going to crush them. The reason why Thomas Massie has a high profile is because the man's actually principled. The man actually has like integrity and sticks to his guns and is defiant in the face of the president, not for the sake of being defiant, but for the sake of sticking to his guns and being actually conservative. Now, I know we don't have a lot of libertarians on this side of the political discussion, and I get that. I don't count myself as a libertarian, even though I think the good ones deserve more credit than they get. But he is, by his very voting record, far more conservative than any of these moderate fake patriots, any of these people who just are like, no, shouldn't trans the kids and kill woke and, close the borders. Actually, what I really meant was war for Israel. What I said was all those other things that you, the average American voter, you care about, the average American white male, you give a shit about that. But what I really meant was war and more money for Israel. That's why I'm sorry, I misspoke. My bad. It's like, I don't even like, this is such a fucking asinine, like one of those talking points they're trying to force in there, which is just not true. It doesn't even fit. It doesn't even sound like, it doesn't even ring true. You're like, what are you talking about, man? It doesn't even take that much scrutiny. You're like, what's your example? We got 39 people in the chat, but we only have 19 votes, guys. I mean, come on now. Listen, that's not. We gotta, come on, be a team player, join in. This is a community over here, after all. Oh, fuck. It's not the Jews, it's the Frankists. Yes, exactly. Although that's something that is. Wait, do you mean that, or are you saying that like as the meme? Now I'm not really sure. And under 20 likes. Thank you, Smelly Balls. Thank you very much. So Beyond Absurd said, who was that Jew that was Massey's top donor? Must have been one of those good Jews. Now, I saw that there was some Zionist billionaire. I looked into that, and he's a guy, but he pays for like a PAC that kind of covers a lot of different politicians. But now you have to remember, right? What the Jews in the Trump administration, they're kind of one and the same. Right. So just before the Epstein files and before the war in Iran, the Trump administration was fine with Thomas Massie. So, they, as Dave will point out in this conversation, Trump courted the libertarians. So he doesn't really care. It's like it doesn't really, like at the time they didn't really care. Sorry. They do now because Massie has proven to not be a team player and is obviously completely against the agenda. So back when the donations were being made into those super PACs, I'm sure it didn't seem like it was contrary to the Israel first agenda. It was probably like, yeah, he's a Republican. Trump will get him in line and that'll be that. I mean, that's my interpretation. I can't really say I know too much about it, but it was just one donor to a giant PAC, I think called like the Freedom PAC or something like that. So I wouldn't put too much stock on that, but hey, that's up to you. Grow a beard or don't grow a beard. Don't do that. Is that me or Goyle? Because I have like I got the scruff. I don't know if that's at me or Goyle. Doyle. I keep doing that. No, I think like you have a gay voice in the way that like whenever they depict a guy in prison who's like who's gonna get comically raped by some giant dude, it sounds like you. Not to say you're gay, but it's just like it's too deep. It's disturbing. Ellerax. The thing is, John Doyle used to be aligned with Nick. Like, he can't be trusted. He knows the truth. It's not like he doesn't know. He chooses to sell out over the truth. Yeah, and he's kind of something that they say, or Nick says it a lot of times, is that they skin suit him. He does a lot of Nick skin suiting in this interview. It's really transparent and lame. It's pretty gay. PsyOps. Yes, it was $15 million this cycle, and the PAC gave $1 million to the Massie campaign. Jeff Yass, that's his name, right? Is his name. He's a marginal player. The entire Jewish oligarchy went after Massie beginning in May 2024. Yeah, that's what I think. It was just that their priorities were different during the last election. That's my read on the situation because, like I said, they courted the libertarians. They had no problem with Massie. As long as they got the Republicans in there, then they could deal with it, Yeah, he's the Barry White. The white Barry White, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's watch a little bit more of this.
I would like to win, and so I'm glad that Thomas Massie is no longer going to be able to be in a position where he can be a meaningful disruption to MAGA.
Well, Chris, I imagine you have thoughts on whether Democrats are all just actually in lockstep. Maybe speak to that briefly, then give us your take on Thomas Massie, because I'm guessing you probably kind of enjoy watching Republicans all fight amongst themselves, but you probably did appreciate him on at least a few issues like the Epstein files.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. And to start with Democrats being in lockstep, that certainly is not the case. Democrats have
Fuck, I should have added this guy to the poll. Damn. I didn't even know. But John Doyle is way out in front right now with 50% of the vote. William's got the second and Basil's at 10%. John, you have 10%. You have 5 times as many votes as a self-proclaimed sodomite. I just hope you know. I just hope you're aware, John.
host of issues. Congressional Democrats right now are the most unpopular they've been ever in American history. So Democrats, after the 2024 election, really still trying to figure it out. And I heard John say that you're...
You know, I'm not going to agree with much of this, what this kid says, but I do think he's right to a degree. I think the left is a little bit more fractured now than they have been in the past. Now, I think, you know, prior to honestly October 7th, yeah, you could pretty much count on the left to be one unified force. You know, if they said go left, they all went left, you know, whatever. Like, they did everything that they were asked to do. You know, I was in LA during the Pussy Hat March in 2016. I've never seen anything like it. There actually is a subway system in Los Angeles. I rarely used it, but where I lived and where I worked, it was actually just 2 stops. It was really convenient. I had to wait at the subway stop for like literally an hour before I could even get down into the station because there were so many fucking maniac women going to this crazy march. So that was real. People were that lockstep. I think what happened after October 7th, and the left had a nickname for Biden. They called him Genocide Joe. I think like they have fractured, and I do think that they are disorganized. They don't have the same cohesion. Like they're still a threat. They're still dangerous. They're still a problem. They're still gay as fuck. But I don't think they are as united as they used to be. Now, I'm not saying underestimate that, but I don't think this kid is entirely wrong about that one fact. LA subway sounded like code for sodomy. Yeah, he took the old LA subway, yeah. That's pretty funny. John somehow gayer than the Dem on this panel. Yeah. Vril was trooning out. Was that only 2 years ago he was doing all that? I thought it was longer. I still appreciate some of Vrilliam's his content, but yeah, no, I get it. He's also overexposing himself too. He's doing way too much. People are gonna get over him too fast.
Rewarded if you go against the president of the United States and the Republican Party, but on the left we're all just in lockstep. I mean, that's no different than saying I'm 6'8" and I play for the Los Angeles Lakers. It's absurdity, and that relates to the realities of last night, which is that we very clearly see that this party is a party of loyalty to the president of the United States. That's it. Donald Trump has dominated and had an iron grip on this party for 10 years. I think we all kind of were trying to see how long that would last. We started to see cracks in that. And I think a lot of us were hoping that Thomas Massie would win. I probably disagree with Thomas Massie on 99% of issues. But again, I appreciate the fact that he hasn't just sold his soul and all his values to the president of the United States, who is the most...
Dude, it's like it's why it's a lot of conversation has been coming up about aligning with some people on the left. I'm still open-minded to this concept. I am. It's something I still want to explore a little bit and kind of dig into. Just if it's viable, who can it be with? But this is the thing about the left, right? He's so wrong. Like, he's so completely not even close to correct. Like, what he's saying right now is it's like he's like, oh yeah, it's about this lockstep loyalty to Trump. Dude, that's like the line that like the pro-Israel right wing, like do it all for Israel. That's what they're running with. That's their narrative. And you're just like, yes, that is the narrative and it's bad. It's like, dude, you guys can't do anything right. If I was on the left, right? God forbid, just a hypothetical. But if I was on the left, I would jump on this Iran war with both feet. I would use it to dangle in their face every day, but I would just every day just going hard and hard, because it's like, pause, but they like, it's like these are the things, like, he failed the base. That's the type of shit that I would use. And this idiot, this operative is so bad at his job, at his insight. He's literally like, yeah, this is all about, it's like, it's safe for you on the left to criticize Israel, but you won't even do it. Let's fucking go, Atlas Thug. You're right. Sorry. What am I saying? Blue no matter who. My mistake. I forgot. But it's just like, God damn, dude. Yeah, it's all about loyalty to Trump. I'm sorry, what did Trump pour in $40 million into dethroning or unseating Thomas Massie in this last? Was that coming from Trump's pocket? Oh, I'm sorry, that must have been Marco Rubio. I bet that was Lindsey Graham. No, it was a fucking Israel lobby. Like, you can't even point that out. You don't have the conviction to one-shot that, how easy that would be. You could win this debate with that point alone, but you won't. It's the 800-pound gorilla. I swear to God, it's the 800-pound gorilla. And it's like, you've got the fucking centrist right-toid, John Goyle, and you've got this fucking idiot over here, and neither one of them is talking about the truth. They're just talking past it. It's like, this is like what it used to be like, what political discourse used to be like, when it was like CNN and Fox News in like 2004. Just two liars. You know what I mean? Not even acknowledging what's really happening. And these two idiots are both just like, no, it's, Massie's not loyal to the party. That's the problem. No, the problem is that it's Trump demands loyalty. It's just like, you guys are both retarded. This is insane.
Expensive House primary in American history. Donald Trump and all the people dumped as much money as they physically could to make sure there was somebody who was loyal to the president in that space. And that's what happened.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why I'm disappointed, is I don't want congressmen who are loyal to the president. But Dave, I mean, you're obviously more from the libertarian camp. You've been a longtime admirer of Thomas Massie. Are you surprised by this? I mean, I'm sure you're not happy about it.
Oh, sure. Well, I mean, I'm Thomas Massie. I probably align with him politically more than any other member of the House of Representatives. So I'm certainly not happy to see him defeated. I don't know that I'm surprised. I'm glad that it was mentioned there right at the end. It felt like we were going to get through a lot of this just talking about whether it was like Trump has an iron grip on the Republican Party. I've seen everyone from Jake Tapper to Ben Shapiro and trying to spin that as like Donald Trump's just so much more popular with the Republicans.
I mean, Michael Knowles, Captive Dreamer, Benny Johnson, like every single popular, even not popular, every single like GOP Trump loyalty influencer is running with that narrative. It is the narrative. You can just tell. I think Fuentes pointed that out, like that it was like ahead of the right ahead of the wave, right ahead of the propaganda wave. He pointed it out, and then it was like, I mean, it was like he predicted the future. It was like the next day, the entire timeline was just filled with all that cope. Like, oh, this is about Trump loyalty. This is about Trump loyalty. Trump still controls the GOP. It's like Trump has the lowest approval rating of any president since Harry Truman, man. He doesn't control shit. He's not in charge of shit. Look at this peace agreement that was announced and then collapsed within like 2 days, not even like 1 day, because of Israel's upset. Isn't there somebody you forgot to ask? You know what I mean? Like that shit. Didn't ask. There's somebody you forgot to ask about that deal, and it collapsed. And it's like, what is he in charge of? He can't even be in charge of his own war. He's not in charge of shit. You think this is about the party? You think this is about, hey, listen, this guy's the boss. We love him. Do not betray him. It's like, what are you, this isn't about Trump. It's not even kind of about Trump.
But the bottom line is that they had to put more money into this congressional race than has ever been put into a congressional primary in the history of the United States of America to unseat the guy. So it's not, they very clearly knew that just Donald Trump endorsing his opponent and calling him the worst congressman in history wasn't going to be enough. And
exactly, it wasn't enough. That's why you needed another 40 million or whatever it was, $40 million to throw in there with ads, and you had to send Hegseth. And you had to, basically just spend all this money for a fucking congressional primary in like a, in a district that's red, that is going to be red no matter what. If this was about the Republicans and their dominance and even like loyalty to Trump, it's like, well, why would these outside parties spend money? They don't give a shit. That's not their agenda. It's like, it's so on its face. Like, why was Thomas Massie, why did he become super famous in the past year? Why does my CNN watching aunt even know who Thomas Massie is? The Epstein files. Did we all forget about this? Did this completely dropped off? Like these two on the right just pretending like it's about anything else is just like patently absurd. And the left being so bad at political discourse, they can't even jump on it. It's right there in front of you, and you can't touch it because you're controlled opposition. You're paid. It's all bullshit too. I don't agree with the left on much, but Jesus, isn't there anyone who's even like mildly articulate on their side, who's not a total idiot? Like, I know Academic Agent still calls himself a liberal, but I don't even know. I don't get that. Every time I listen to him, I'm like, you don't sound like that to me at all. I don't know.
So you had a massive effort to unseat the guy for essentially the crime of pushing for the Epstein files being released and opposing the war in Iran. These were two explicit promises that the Trump administration ran on: no new wars and disclosing the Epstein files. So I certainly think there's no justice in it from that perspective. But, I got to say, I think from my perspective, there's a real silver lining to this, which is that I think they've essentially made Thomas Massie a political martyr. And the way that the support for him breaks up between generational divides is really something. I mean, Thomas.
This is something that Dave had said on his show following the Massie loss. He said that, this is going to turn him, and he turned him into a political martyr. This is going to create a new coalition, a new movement. I don't know if he's right about that. It sounds good. It sounds like something that's like, people can rally behind him. Look, it's certainly, he was already, like I said, pretty famous because of the Epstein files. He definitely boosted his profile nationwide, which is, there's a lot of congressmen, man. I don't know most of them, but I've known Thomas Massie for a while, and doing that to get the Epstein files pushed through, like, definitely bolstered his nationwide profile. I'd like to see some motion behind Thomas Massie and see if that can do something, like outside of just him being like an effective congressman. I don't know what the next move for him is. People say president. I don't see it. I see maybe vice president could be the type of thing, governor, even senator, something like that. I feel like he's the type of guy who's not going to go anywhere. I don't know exactly. I think Dave's doing a little bit of wish casting here. Not that I think it's in bad faith or it's bullshit. I just I don't really see it. But I like where his head's at. I like the way he's thinking about it.
Massie is one of, if not the most popular political figures in America amongst young people. And it was only because of the Israel lobby money and the Fox News apparatus, which is the media that boomers still can.
Beyond absurd, listen to me. Why do you need to go? Why does it need to be so hostile? Why can't it just be that we disagree? Why has it got to be so shitty? Like, this is what I was facing last week, and I don't really get it. It's like, okay, man, look, there's guys here, like, I don't think, like, Lord of the Ree is a good guy. He hangs out on my channel and this channel. He doesn't agree. He doesn't like Fuentes, but he's not a dick about it. You know what I mean? Like, why do you have to be such a jerk about it? Like, I don't care that you disagree. If you have something, like, that's, constructive to contribute to the conversation that, is a negative thing, fine. But if you're just like, you guys are dumb for liking him, he's Mexican. It's like, bro, A, that's not going to move me at all. That's not going to sway me in any way whatsoever. And B, it's just like, I don't get it. Like, okay, do you want to get banned? Like, okay, dude. Like, not that I'm not threatening you. I'm just like, okay, it's just spam. It's literally just spam. You're like, all right, bro, I don't know. Whatever. You're trolling. I know, man. Just chill. Just chill.
Consume that they convinced enough boomers in his district that he was like a Democrat now or had completely changed his principles, which is ridiculous and not true. And just one comment on I hear this as a talking point on from Republicans a lot, that there's like no division amongst the Democrats and that they just are all in lockstep. And I just really think this couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, in both 2016 and 2020, the Democratic establishment essentially had to put down a mutiny from Bernie Sanders, which had all the energy and all the young people, and they had to cheat. They had to lie and cheat to get rid of him, to even get their nominees across the finish line. There's a reason why there was absolutely no democratic process on the Democratic side in 2024, because there's a huge gap between where the Democratic establishment and where the Democratic voters are. Genocide Joe was the popular nickname for Joe Biden amongst left-wingers in this country. And I think there's a huge gap on the Republican side as well. It's kind of consuming the country at this point, that there's this huge like chasm between where the establishments of both political parties are and where the grassroots support from the people are.
Yeah, John, I want to give
Thomas Massie's much more with the grassroots.
The midterm elections are getting closer, and all this chaos is.
This is his fucking Kalshi ad.
Brief chance to defend the thesis that Democrats are in lockstep briefly. Then I've got some follow-up questions about Thomas Massie.
Oh, this is just a line.
Oh, GeoGuessr, what's up, bro? I didn't see you here. What's going on, man? I think you're underestimating Massie. This guy is a top dog. He lost by 5% against the whole machine. Yeah, I mean, look, the thing is, he carried that district, right? He carried the fuck out of that district for 14 years. Not even close. I think winning primaries by like 70%, high 60s. It wasn't really in contention. It wasn't until they got the boomers with the AI. I mean, literally, it's like the meme come to life. It's like the boomers got one-shotted by AI. That's what happened. And, a bunch of bullshit rhetoric. He's a Democrat. They're going to, I want to wait to bring it up because it's like, I want to refute Goyle's point, but it's just, there's this narrative going around about how he like votes with the Democrats. And it's like, bro, patently false. PsyOps. I like Nick. He's basically right about everything. I am Gen X, and Nick gives me hope that younger men will be able to have a real right-wing populist movement. Let's fucking go, PsyOps. Let's fucking go. You won't answer because you're bullshit. I don't even know what you're asking. I don't see a question. I just see you constantly talking. Obviously, yes, ban me, please. Simple question. Smith thinks there were. What say you? I don't know what you're... I don't know. There's no questions, bro. There's no questions in there, man. Just calm down, dude. Fucking calm down. Nick derangement syndrome only makes us stronger. I love it. Hell yeah.
with reality. I kind of understand what they're saying in terms of the mechanics of it. Like there are, of course, disputes between who should actually govern the party or lead the party, between maybe a more grassroots Sanders type or maybe a more traditional Clinton type. But ultimately, you cannot exist as a Democrat and express meaningful opposition to the sort of cores of the ideology, which is and you're nodding your head at this. I challenge you, post on social media.
Got to give him credit where it's due. He's right about that. You couldn't be like a meaningful left-wing figure in America and say trans women aren't women. You got to give him credit for that. I mean, this is the thing that these people are good for, you know, is just the kind of red meat, the stuff that's like so on its face, so obvious it doesn't even really need to be discussed. It doesn't really need to be debated by like, you know, actually like thinking people. But it's like, to a point though, he is right. There's certain taboos. You couldn't have a pro closed borders Democrat. You couldn't have a pro like white Democrat, and you couldn't be like there are certain social things. There are taboos that you literally can't touch by being on the left. I think he's completely right about that. And that's about all the credit I'll be giving Mr. Goyle. Doyle.
Is something in opposition to gay race communism, mass migration, anti-white discrimination. You literally cannot exist as a prominent Democrat, be it in a position of political office or influence in media, if you are expressing any kind of dissent to what would be referred to, I guess, as woke, that kind of stuff.
What
you can
is
say
gay
the more
race
emphasis.
Communism?
It's exactly what it sounds like. It is race communism fruited with the kind of LGBT stuff. It is a form of Marxism with places emphasis on race. And then, of course, you've got the LGBT stuff ornamenting that as well.
You don't think that's a bit of a straw man of what the Democratic Party writ large stands for? Gay race communism?
No, I don't. Not at all, actually.
No, actually, I got to go with the Goyle on this one. Yeah, I don't. I think it's exactly what it is. This is the thing that the kind of, you know, the moderate centrist rights, the kind of Trump down the line people, they get right, you know, with the rhetoric. They say the correct thing, but they're not meaningfully willing to do any kind of action, or, you know, they're not even willing to step out against Trump. They're not even willing to say anything about Trump because he's not doing the things that they claim to care about. And that's when you're just like, you guys are so full of shit. But on its face, as far as a conversation, rhetorically, yeah, that's exactly. Gay race communism is completely right. That's exactly what it is. Psyops. I stumbled upon this YouTube channel a few days ago. Who is the host and where can I follow him on X? If you're talking about me, my name is Foulball Productions. That's Foulball Productions on X and on YouTube. But if you're not talking about just me, you could also be talking about ZebBoykin, because this is Zeb's channel that he created to have a space for all of us right-wing creators to come and talk. But you could follow Zeb on X, and he's got his own YouTube channel, and Atlas Thugged also on X and YouTube. So those are the people. And there's fuck, I always forget the other guy. The guy, I'm sorry, I'm so embarrassed. I can't remember his name, but he hosts the Groyper Report with Atlas. Fuck, what is his name? I'm sorry. If you could put that in the chat too, that would be sick. But no, thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man. That's cool of you. But no, I mean this is the thing that like actually he's right about. Like, yeah, gay race communism. That's right. Yeah.
All right, Chris, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, honestly, I'm just a little bit, I mean, I'm obviously over here laughing. I think that's pretty ridiculous. I just, like, what does that even mean? Gay race, communism, anti-whiteness, these things that don't exist and are just
they do, and it's like the same
planes.
thing you said with the absurd thing about playing for the Lakers. All you can do is be like, I'm laughing, that's so crazy. Tell me why it's crazy. Tell me how.
Oh, yeah, of course. Josh Vandernoord as well. That's the name I couldn't think about. And Tom Foe. That's right. Tom Foe is the fucking man too. He does stuff on this channel as well. He's got his YouTube channel. He just put out a video today. I think he was going after the boomers. Everyone's going after the boomers today. He's a great YouTuber as well. So Tom Foe. All the niggas, you know, check them all out. I love this fucking corner of YouTube. I like Brilliant, but he sounds like a gay Jew. He does sound gay. He does make it explicitly clear that he is a WASP. He points that out quite a bit. But yes, he does. It's there. It's in the voice. He's got the gay voice.
The institutions that are governing the country do not express those.
What you started this whole entire thing with this premise that you can't be a Democrat that you can't be a Democrat and, you know, give meaningful opposition. It's like opposition to being a Democrat is not, oh, I think white people are oppressed and I hate the LGBTQ plus community. Those are far different than anything relating to the Democratic Party. Those are issues of I don't know, basic human decency. And so, like, I think that you frame.
What was the whatever about the LGBT thing? But it's like white people are an oppressed minority. What's indecent about saying that? That's just a statistical fact, and it's true. Every white nation on the planet is being completely invaded and eroded. Like that's just a fact on its face. That's not something that you can debate. You can't have an opinion as to whether or not that's happening. You can have an opinion as to whether or not that's good. I obviously don't. But you can't say it's not happening. This is the thing. It's like that meme that the left does. That's why I don't even like dunking on the left, because I feel like it's just like it's too easy. It's too obvious. But it's that thing where left is having a leftist discourse is impossible because they just pretend that they don't understand reality or whatever. But it's exactly what this kid's doing. It's just like, what even is that? What are you even talking about? Like, oh my God. Okay, brother. Okay, kid. Alrighty.
This as if there's only these few lanes you can go to be a Democrat and be within this establishment. It's just dishonest. And as Brad said, I think it's straw manning. There's Democrats. I consider myself in between this very like progressive wing. I consider myself a progressive, and this more moderate wing. I often kind of sit in between the two, and I'm just watching. But those two hold beliefs that are wildly different from each other, and yet try at least to come together and fight against Donald Trump and what we're seeing.
I don't want us to get too derailed here, guys. I'll say I think obviously there's a whatever you want to call it, woke, whatever word, there's a social justice ideology. There is a rising socialist camp in the Democratic Party. I don't want to get too boggled down on whether that really constitutes communism. John, what's your actual beef with Thomas Massie? Because when I think of him ideologically, I actually see him as kind of quite MAGA in terms of what he actually stands for and believes. He's got the groups, right? The pro-life groups, the pro-gun groups. He's got the very strong conservative voting record from Heritage Action, Turning Point, a bunch of other conservative groups. What is the gripe? Because the votes where he's broke.
It's funny to still say MAGA. Like, oh, I think he's quite MAGA. It's like, what, a Jew? You think he's, what is he? Oh, you meant that authentic. You meant how it used to be mean. Oh, my mistake. I thought it's funny to say that. Like to hear someone be like, I think he's MAGA. It's like, what does that mean? Taking your orders from Benjamin Netanyahu? Is that what MAGA? I mean, because I don't know what else MAGA would be. I don't know how you describe it. Like, it's just weird to hear, I think he's quite MAGA. Like, what does that mean anymore? I like all these. These are good. Zeb is posing fantastic questions. Why are you not a member yet? Why have you not liked the stream? And why have you not subscribed to Foulball Production? These are fantastic questions. I just got to be honest. I don't have answers, but I like them, Just poison it. I love it. It's great. Let's go, patriotic dad. I like it. He found his crowd. Let's fucking go.
Broken with Republicans tend to be areas where he's outflanking them to the right, yet they want us to believe he's some kind of rhino. What's your issue with him?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's easy to outflank from the right when we're just talking about issues on paper and kind of where we lie politically. I'm not even a Thomas Massie hater per se. I know that there are a lot of people who really go after the guy on Twitter. I'm really not one of those people. My issue with him is really my issue with libertarianism at large, which is why I graduated beyond that when I was maybe 18 or 19, which isn't so much a concern about
LARPing as Nick. He's LARPing as Nick right now. That's exactly what Nick says. I mean, that's like almost line for line, bar for bar. What Nick? He's LARPing as Nick right now. Oh, and I graduated. I grew up. It's like, yeah, it's exactly what he said to the redhead libertarian, like verbatim. We see you, John. We see you, John.
The principles. Like if Thomas Massie and I are writing down how we think society ought to be governed on a piece of paper, it's really not going to be too different. It's just how do we actually go about actualizing that given our political circumstances? And I just disagree with the strategy of becoming Mr. No and going on leftist media to talk about how you're the only brave, independent person in Congress because you're willing to tell Donald Trump no. And then when it comes time to vote for things like the BBB, which secure the priorities of the administration, you're willing.
LRX. It's crazy to see how much you've changed. The first video I watched about you're changing your mind on Nick. Now you're one of us and voting blue. 07 to you, man. Dude, thank you. It is pretty crazy. You're right. I mean, that's it. That was only back in like October, maybe October, November. I was just kind of like, hey, I think I was wrong about this kid. And now I'm just like, he's the answer. He's the truth. It is them. He's right. Yeah, man, I came a long way. I came a long way. Well, you know what? Really, it's because it's actually, even when I did that video, I wasn't even 100% all in on politics. I was talking about politics a lot, but I hadn't really committed to being like an America First like YouTuber. I kind of was talking about a bunch of different stuff, but it was right around the time that I found Nick, and right around the time when Trump showed his true colors, is that when I became serious about it. That's when I was like, all right, fuck it. Like, this is no more bullshit, no more charlatans, no more, say the right thing, then do whatever you want for Israel. Like, absolutely not. And I say this a lot. I think it's kind of ironic, but one of the people who's has the most responsibility for like J-pilling me or giving me like insight into especially Israel that I didn't have was Dave Smith, which I think is kind of ironic. But yeah, no, fuck yeah. Thanks, dude. Hey, Goyle, does this mean you support the greatest wealth transfer in history now because your fellow teal orbiters were having meltdowns about that when Massie was the only guy to vote against it? That's what it's like. These people, there's a clip account on X that's called like Dave Rubin clips or something like that, but it's just making fun of them. And it's literally, it was just a sizzle reel of all the different times like Dave Rubin directly contradicted what was going to happen or what is happening. He got every prediction wrong and then just moved the goalpost. These guys just do that over and over and over. They just completely moved the goalpost. They completely changed what their position was yesterday. They are like the left. It's crazy how much they like the left are. They just change what they say they believe, like that day, tomorrow. Yes, it's insane. It's like, so do you care about this or don't you? It's like no new wars, just thrown out the window. That didn't just swing every single MAGA supporter, every single Trump voter. I will never understand. It's like no new wars. A year in, we're at war with Iran. Like, that's a new war, you fucking idiot. I don't care what he said in the 80s. I don't care what he tweeted in 2011. That's a new war. Like, it's really embarrassing.
To dissent and say, no, I don't think that actually gets us closer to what we claim we want the country to look like. And so it's not so much an ideological disagreement. I mean, I know he's a libertarian, and I think that libertarians tend to be a little bit more lax on things like immigration and trade policy than perhaps I would be. But it's not even so much that. It just is the strategy and the approach, how he goes about that, which I think is ultimately disruptive to any chance of us winning. And I think it's certainly beneficial to the left, which is why you have the same class of people who celebrated when Charlie Kirk was assassinated, going and waxing poetic about Thomas Massie's integrity. It's completely disingenuous. They recognize...
that's disingenuous, dude. You're conflating the people that celebrated when Kirk got shot with Massie supporters, bro. Like, good Lord, dude. Is there no depth with which you will sink? You have to look at yourself in the mirror after this, John. You have to sit alone with your own thoughts after you just go and make up something like horrific like that. You know that, right? Like, you still have a conscience, I assume. Like, the thoughts inside your head still work. To conflate those two groups of people, dude, that's low, bro. That's just gross. Oof.
About Thomas Massie, what so many on the right don't, which is that he is useful not because he furthers the cause of like right-wing politics, but because he disrupts them.
Well, so these same people, though, wanted his head on a pike after COVID when he stood up against lockdowns, when he forced votes on COVID spending. So I understand he's gotten some praise from the kind of liberal media institutions or some Democratic friends over the Epstein things or Ron or a few things. But I don't know, Dave. This seems to me like Thomas Massie hasn't changed. The environment around him has.
In a stunning development, Vrilliam has pulled ahead in the poll by quite a few votes. Now, it looked like Doyle had this one locked up, but now Vrilliam is got 50% of the vote. John Doyle with 39, and Basil's still hanging out at 11. The self-described sodomite has less votes than both Vrilliam and Doyle. That's amazing. Good work, fellas.
Yeah. Brad, I used to be a partisan who would just blindly support the president of my party, but then I graduated from that when I was like 7 years old. And so then I went in a different direction. Thomas Massie, I like that the one thing you pointed out that he outflanks him to the right, and the one thing you could point to is he didn't sign on to a giant spending bill that passed anyway. No, what happened here is that Thomas Massie opposed an idiotic, catastrophic war of aggression and a war of choice, and Thomas Massie opposed covering up the Epstein scandal, which really humiliated the administration that had run on that and then done a 180 and then just pathetically tried to bury the thing and claimed it was a Democratic hoax or it didn't exist. Even just a few months before he finally got them to pass the bill, the official position from the Justice Department was that these files don't exist. They're all gone. They came out and openly said that. Then we got 3.5 million of them, and they're just openly illegal.
He's also leaving out a few steps. It was that, they're all on my desk. We're going to be releasing them any day now. It's just like, hang tight. Wait for activation, Patriots. And then it was, oh, no, actually, there aren't any. It's all child porn. It doesn't exist. There are no files. And then, lo and behold, there's 6 million. Okay. Oh, okay. Well, whatever you say, anything you say, I will then pivot and then loudly proclaim as the truth, no matter how much it contradicts what you told me yesterday. I'll just keep reporting on that. Like, I just don't even understand what they expect to gain. Like, if it were me, right, if I were the Blaze and I was like, running cover for the Trump administration to help Israel, right? Like, I wouldn't even talk about this stuff. I would just completely avoid it. I'd just go bluster and bluster about immigration or trans rights. I would just, feed the base. I wouldn't even bother addressing this stuff because it's so on its face, so obvious. Bro, I'm sitting right in front of you. I also have eyes and ears, you know what I mean? This is so retarded to make this argument. Okay, all right.
Legally holding back another 3 million of them. That's what got the lobby on his back. And, I'm glad you brought up him being opposed to the insane COVID spending that gave us so much of the inflation that got blamed on Joe Biden, but was really actually partially at least responsibility of Donald Trump for passing those dumb spending bills. Thomas Massie was absolutely right and heroic on that, while President Donald Trump made Fauci the national face of the pandemic response and championed lockdowns and mocked, the area.
I saw this statistic on X today. I don't know. I didn't vet it at all. It doesn't have a community note and it has 1.4 million views. So right now I'm going to take it as true. It says Trump is now single-handedly responsible for 27.7% of the national debt. 27.7% of that, whatever it is, 40 trillion is squarely on Trump's shoulders. This is dramatically more than any president in history. But keep pretending you're like a fiscal conservative, dude. Keep pretending that you worship Reagan and you're like a Reaganomics Republican. Shut the fuck up. You have no principles. I mean, and if you do not express them. You're not going to fight for them. It's literally whatever the party says today, you will parrot. Are you trying to get Caroline Leavitt's job? Is that what you're going for, John? You're just going to keep saying, whatever the president says, it's your job to spin it? Is that the job description you have as a political commentator? It's dude, we also have the internet. That works when you're the news because it's too big of a there's too much, there's no connection there. I can't reach, like a Fox News host and tell them they're full of shit. I can tweet you. I can show you on my stream, this guy's full of shit. What are you expecting to accomplish here? Except you're just going to dwindle your subscriber base and your influence. I honestly don't understand. If I were him, I wouldn't even talk about this stuff. I'd be these are losing issues for us. Don't even bring it up. We're talking about immigration and trans kids. I really don't get it. It's crazy. It's fucking insane, honestly. Take that, Biden, 27%. You think you're a tax and spend Democrat? I'm a tax and spend Democrat. Boomers can miraculously hold infinite contradiction in their heads and not blink once. It is mind-blowing. It is mind-blowing. It's Massie betrayed America first. He betrayed Trump. It's like Trump did that. Trump betrayed America first. Trump betrayed Trump. If you looked at like what Trump ran on and what Trump's doing, Trump betrayed Trump. He's the biggest infiltrator of the whole administration. It's him. He's the one who did this to us. It's insane that these guys are just like, yeah, no, it's you can't go against him. It's like, what? Everyone should go against him. What are you people doing? Really? Is this true? Chris K. Roll, $5 trillion in debt from 1913 to 2000. Zion Dine racked up almost $7 trillion in his first term. Dude, maybe we should have listened to the left. Maybe we shouldn't have voted in for a reality TV star. Maybe they were right. Maybe they were right. I don't know. I could have never heard that. I would have never absorbed it. But maybe they were right. Maybe a narcissistic reality TV star was not the best man to put in the Oval Office. I figured, how could it be worse? How could it be worse than what we've gotten? Huh? That's crazy, man.
Is that weren't locking down. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. You can just say you graduated from libertarianism and now we're talking about what really, what needs to be implemented to help our society. Well, which one is it? Wars of aggression, burying the Epstein scandal, or the COVID lockdowns and the COVID spending? Which one of these things were so wonderful for our society?
John?
I'm not seeing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to relitigate the first Trump administration. I certainly wouldn't run.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the second Trump administration, the war. I mean, the libertarian types are the same people who will tell you that Congress hasn't declared war since 1942, which is completely true. But then they will act as though, Thomas Massie really posed some kind of threat to whether or not the war in Iran was going to happen or not, when obviously, this is something that the administration could carry out without congressional authorization. So
if it's not a problem, John, then why would the Jews spend $40 million to get rid of him? If it doesn't matter, if the libertarians accurately point out that Congress, that essentially the United States military just declares and conducts wars without the congressional approval as was intended by the Constitution, which, indicts every president, since, I don't know, the first since after World War II, everyone was following that, you know what I mean? It's okay. So if that's true and the libertarians are correct on that issue, then why even bother? Why spend the money? Because he was drawing attention to it, John. Because he's a detractor. He's a loud detractor, and he has power in Congress. That's what this is about. It's a fucking monkey wrench. He's like, what do we even care? It's like, I don't know. Why'd they spend so much fucking money on it? John. GeoGasser with $5. Thank you very much, brother. Why Groypers think of Nick as some kind of infallible guru. If you just listened to Glenn Greenwald, Jeffrey Sachs, you would arrive at the same conclusions. I don't listen to enough Glenn Greenwald to know. I don't know if you're being hyperbolic. Look, I don't know. When you have Nick calling these things to the day, it's like he's got a crystal ball. He called there was a tweet going around that someone retweeted. I think it was never JD Vance. It was going, I saw Tom retweeted it. It was going around and it was basically he said, this is going to be the most Zionist administration ever. I'm sure some of you thought that. A lot of people, like myself included, did not. So when you see stuff like that and you see the reality of what's going on, you see the Iran war, you see how he calls that the next person who's going to be out of the administration is Tulsi. Tulsi leaves. It's he's really good at this. That's why. I feel like he's got the most insight. I feel like when he called out that mass deportations were over, that they weren't happening, before that even became a even mildly broad narrative, when it was controversial to say that, and it was 100% true, that's why. I feel like he continues to get it right. His model for politics plays out correctly. It's not that I don't think he's infallible. He's not a god. But he keeps being right. So as long as he continues to be right, I'm going to continue to follow. When he makes predictions that don't play out, let me know. Put it in the chat. I'll dig into that. But I watch every show he does. I haven't seen him be wrong yet. Now, granted, like I said earlier, I've only been watching every show for, 7 months, 8 months, or whatever it is. So fair, fine. But I don't know. It does 4 or 5 shows a week. It hasn't been wrong yet. Wake me up when he is. That's all. But I appreciate the super chat, man. And this is the type of conversation I appreciate, dude. If you guys want to disagree with me, I don't care. Disagree. As long as it's like we're having a conversation, you're not just launching insults. It's like, I'm not engaging with insults, dude. Anyway, thank you, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you for the super chat.
I don't understand how that would really put a target on his back necessarily.
I just don't understand what you're saying there. Libertarians correct.
What's up, Daily Riot? I still see no evidence of that. I don't even know where people get that. It's like, it's just a narrative. It's like, based on what? Oh, he didn't get charges, with this January 6th. It's like, okay, but that's because he didn't do anything, and he got his accounts frozen. He goes on a no-fly list. It's like they didn't just let him off scot-free. The SPLC thing. It's like, oh, you mean the people who doxed him when that guy came to his house to kill him? I don't know. You did a video on it. I'll check it out, Daily Riot. I'll check it out. I feel like you're a good dude. He led the insurrection. I'll have to take a look. I don't really want to start breaking down this whole thing. But I've seen no evidence that's convincing. Maybe you've made a convincing video. I will take a look at it. We're going to listen to John Goyle right now.
Correctly point out that all of these wars are illegal and undeclared, but they also claim Thomas Massie was a threat.
It's an incoherent, like if
Obviously,
he required
he's not
congressional
a threat to the war.
Right. So then why would that
happening.
put a target on his back if he was some kind of threat? Like if his opposition to that would be meaningful, why would that put a target on his back?
If his opposition, I think him embarrassing the administration over the Epstein thing was more the problem. But he also went on Tucker Carlson's show and really broke down
and exposed like the whole global Jewish power network, that this Epstein situation isn't just about underage girls, that it's about a whole lot of other shit. Like, for instance, Ronald Lauder, all over the Epstein files, close associate with Jeffrey Epstein. His son-in-law is now the chair of the head of the Fed. Stuff like that. Stuff like that, John. They had a problem with that. That's why there's still 3 million Epstein files that have not been released, because they don't want to expose themselves. They don't want to open up to more scrutiny. That's why, John. You're like, oh, it's because he went against Trump. He went against Trump, and that's why. Is that why, asshole? GeoGaster, do you think a 30-06 can bounce off skin? Thank you for the $2. Look, I'm not a ballistics expert. Isn't that what Zeb does? I don't know. I still don't think that proves he's a Fed, because he's questioning I question the narrative. Like, I question the narrative because it's like, I don't know. Oh, thanks, Daily Riot. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. But because that's like, well, I would still need some kind of compelling evidence. I'm not saying I don't know, man. I'm not the ballistics expert, but I'm going to need a little bit better than just speculation and doubt. Therefore, we draw a conclusion. It's like you could draw a million different conclusions based on that. You know what I mean? You could be like, who knows? I don't know. You could come up with any kind of theory you want just based on the fact that some of the evidence is fuzzy or seems weird. I don't know. I don't know who killed Charlie Kirk. It could have been that guy. It could have been Israel. I don't know. But I'm not making any kind of conclusions until like I know for sure. Like if I can, or I have a really strong a very reasonable picture as to why, or as to how. Sorry, not as to why, as to how. Because it's like when that accusation was first being thrown around, I gave it no weight because I was like, what do you? He works for Israel. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he do that? But then I saw all his video clips of him saying, "Oh, no war in Iran, no war in Iran." Like that was like a hard red line for him, and you're like, okay, that does kind of track as to a motivation, but. As has been pointed out, it was that when he did the 12-day war, he was immediately on board. So that there's not enough there to be like, no, he was definitely killed by Israel, no question. It's like, I don't know, man. Maybe. I'm not going to say for sure, but I'm certainly no ballistic expert, so I don't know anything about this. I don't know anything about the bullet and the bullet theories and all that type of stuff. You're asking the wrong guy. I don't really know. I probably could even pick a 30-06 cartridge in a lineup if I'm being honest.
How every congressman has an AIPAC handler except him, and then Miriam Adelson poured tens of millions of dollars into his race. So
I do want to come to the Israel
I'm sure
thing.
It was just a coincidence.
So I'm going to pull up the clip of him mentioning that about his opponent and everything. So let's maybe put a pin in that. John, your response to what Dave just said before that.
I mean, there are plenty of Congress people who like vocalize opposition to Israel, but they don't get targets the way Thomas Massie did. You know, you can find this with the Squad, for example.
Among Republicans?
Oh, no, I'm talking Congress people, Democrats, Republicans.
Oh, dude, this is the funnest cope. Sorry, I need to go back because of what he just said is so fucking ridiculous, dude. It's so ridiculous. GeoGasser for $5. Thank you very much. I feel like you are definitely the top super chatter on this show, brother. I appreciate you very much. He said, just saying you have seen him been wrong. Don't discount that time. I'm not saying. Okay, I mean, I hear what you're saying. I don't want to litigate minutia. I think the point of him saying we shouldn't jump to the conclusion that Israel killed him because we don't have the evidence, and if we just reflexively throw that accusation at literally everything, then we're just jumping at shadows. We're not credible. Because, well, look, as common as discussing the JQ is and the Israel global thing is, it's like, it's been taboo for a while, and they are working every day at getting some more anti-Semitism censorship in there. And to your average person, if you just start going off about this stuff, you're going to sound like a fucking maniac, right? So it's like, we need to be good on these issues. When we criticize them or we attack them on something, we have to be fucking solid. All the details need to be in order, and we need to be able to articulate it and express it, and not just throw out wild accusations that are baseless or feel like they could be right, because then it's like you don't have credibility. And we are like foundationally correct on a lot of this stuff. It is accurate. It is factually provable. The people involved you can point to and be like, it's the fucking Jews. Like, and I'm just saying, like, I'm breaking into the Iraq war right now and the motivations, and it's like, dude, Mearsheimer writing this book, he points out, he's like, because he makes the argument, and he puts out a lot of stuff about the Israel lobby's involvement, and the Israeli prime ministers, like all three living at the time, were arguing in favor of it. And he goes, it's not just, but it wasn't just Israel, it was also American neoconservatives. Well, who are American neoconservatives, dude? They're Jewish Republicans, basically. Right? So it's like, we can point this out. I can read you Podhoret's writing. I could read you Wormser's writing. I could point to you Wolfowitz, what he said. Ehud Barak said this on this day. These guys were talking about going into Iraq before we even knew it was who did 9/11. Like, I can sit there and litigate that entire argument. I can't sit there and litigate that Israel killed Charlie, because I don't know that happened, and I don't have enough evidence to suggest it. So if I just start saying that about every little thing, I look fucking nuts. That's why. But thank you for the super chats, brother. I appreciate you, man. I really do. Mark Vendy, what up? Doctor said I should pick up smoking to quit gum. All right. Well, I that's a dubious doctor you've got there. I don't know. I don't recommend picking up vaping, because I vape, and oh man, I do it so much more than I ever smoked cigarettes. I started vaping to stop smoking cigarettes, and now I vape so much more. I thought about doing those pouches, but I hate those fucking things. I just need to quit. I just need to go cold turkey. Hey, what's up, Tom Foe? How you doing, brother? We were just talking about you, man. Candace told me to tell you guys about Project Ballshiner. I don't know anything about that, but we do. I love Candace, obviously. Candace Owens. She's a trip. Well, thank you very much for the super chats, folks. I need to go back in this video because John's fucking completely weak bullshit, like, phony ass argument. It was so lame. I was like, come on, dude. What are you even saying here?
John, your response to what Dave just said before that.
I mean, there are plenty of Congress people who like vocalize opposition to Israel, but they don't get targets the way Thomas Massie did. You know, you can find this with the Squad, for example.
Among Republicans?
Oh, no, I'm talking Congress people, Democrats, Republicans.
Bro, did you guys catch that? This fucking slimy, disingenuous dickhead. Just listen to this argument.
In that, John, your response to what Dave just said before that.
I mean, there are plenty of Congress people who like vocalize opposition to Israel, but they don't get targets the way Thomas Massie did. You know, you can find this with the Squad, for example.
Among Republicans?
Oh, no, I'm talking Congress people, Democrats, Republicans.
Just Congress. Dude, Congress people criticize Israel all the time. It's like, the argument, John, was that Thomas Massie is coming at you from the right. He's more conservative, more right-wing than Trump. Yes, it's immensely important that, yes, the one congressman who is going after Israel is getting targeted. The one Republican, the one on the right. That is important. That detail matters. Of course, AOC and Ilhan Omar aren't going to get primaried because it's an acceptable position to have on the left. It has been since Obama. This is not like what a ridiculously facile, bullshit, insincere thing. Like, what? Other congressmen criticize Israel. Why is Thomas Massie different? Oh, brother. Unreal, dude. Unfucking real.
We have two parties, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She tweets about AIPAC, and she doesn't really suffer the same consequences politically that Thomas Massie does. So clearly, it's not just an opposition to Israel and America's relationship with Israel. I believe that the problem Thomas Massie faced is that he made a lot of political missteps pertaining to his vocalization of being in opposition to an extremely popular president within Republican voters, and that's why he suffered. So you can make that about Israel or about Miriam Adelson or whatever, but ultimately, when people in Kentucky went to vote him out in his primary campaign, it wasn't because they were running advertisements where he says things that are critical of Israel. Republican voters like Israel, but they don't rank it even within their top 10 issues.
Yeah, but that's not.
Yeah, but that's the point, John. That's the fucking point, John. Is that, yes, it's not that important to the Republican voters. That's because we didn't think we were voting for an Israel first administration. We thought we were getting the golden age. That's what was advertised. That's what was on the fucking ballot, man, was immigration, golden age, Doge, tariffs. That's what we were voting for. We were not voting for an Israeli war. So yes, obviously the Republican voters, it's not in their top issue, but it's the number one issue in the administration. That's the problem. That's the disconnect. And the one guy on the right in the Republican Party who was criticizing got primaried. Is it really that hard to understand? The fact that, I don't know how much they're paying you to go make that argument, man, but it better be a lot. It better be you can just go retire on a beach anytime you want type money. Because to sit there and make these arguments is mind-blowing. Wow. Oh, the Republican voters don't even care about Israel. Yes, dude. Obviously. Yeah, why would you? Why would that matter to the average American? It couldn't. It doesn't matter. This fucking guy. GeoGasser for $5. Dude, thank you so much, man. Bro, as bad as smoking is very known to medicine. Everything is broadly studied. Vape is a lab IRL. We don't know what diseases it can lead to. Bro, I know. We don't. We're just I'm living out the experiment right now. And it has effects, I can tell you right now. I mean, I'm still pretty active. I work out, I run, I do all that stuff. And it does not debilitate me anywhere near the level that cigarettes did. But it still affects me. You know what I mean? It still does affect me. There's no way it doesn't. So I know. I gotta make moves on it. You know what I mean? It's when you get old, though, you're just it's just one more fucking thing. One more fucking thing. But thank you very much, brother. I appreciate the super chats, man. Thank you. Smoking is cool. It's so cool. It's so fucking cool.
Not the question. The question is, why was Miriam Adelson pumping all that money in? Yes, I agree with you. They weren't running ad campaigns that just told you what he said. They pretended he was some type of Democrat, even though we've already established at every point he's outflanking you guys to the right. But whatever. The point is that, yes, that clearly there was a concerted effort. They spent more money than any other race in congressional history. So obviously that was for a reason. And for
any other primary, I just can't emphasize this enough. Any other primary, not just a race, race as well, but the primary, a Republican's getting that district no matter what. There's no reason to be concerned unless your main concern is appeasing Israel, and then he's got to go. It's this is so on its face, so obvious, and these guys are out there running this interference, and you're like, bro, do you go home and look your girlfriend in the eye, or are you just too ashamed? I just went out and I bitched out today, sweetie. I just sold my soul and my integrity to Israel for, a few grand, for probably not even that good of a living, to be completely honest.
For you to just point out, say like, hey, Miriam Adelson hasn't put as much money into, say, getting rid of Ilhan Omar, that doesn't prove anything. Obviously, Thomas Massie was much more of a threat to the Trump administration because of what me and Brad were just saying. He's outflanking them to the right. He's running as a true America First Republican. And yeah, they saw that as much more of a threat. And that's why the money came down on him. And they're right. He is much more of a threat. If he runs for president in the Republican primary, he's got a great shot of winning.
Well, we can come back to that. I want to play you.
Don't know if it's a great shot, but he's a shot. He'll be disruptive. He'll definitely make some noise. No question about that. No doubt about that. If Thomas Massie runs for the Republican president, he's going to make noise. Because he's going to be able to say things on the debate stage that just have never really been said. I'm pumped for the debates no matter what happens. You know what I mean? Not that obviously I want our sovereignty back. I want a true golden age. I want our actual, I want our America First president to win. I do not want a Democrat anywhere near the White House. But regardless, the debates are going to be a blast because they're going to have to answer questions and face questions that they've never had to answer or discuss before. And you can see this, right? Like one of the big shifts that's happened, if you'll remember, when Zoran Mamdani was running for mayor, they asked all the candidates, what's the first city you're going to visit when you become mayor? They're all like, Tel Aviv, go to Israel, Tel Aviv. Which I was just like, this is so disturbing. It's like, they clearly work for the Jews. Like, it's just so gross. And then Zoran's like, I don't know, I'm a New Yorker. I'm gonna probably stay here in New York. And they were like, oh, this guy, what does he play? Who does he think he's winning? And then he won. And so it's like, that's not something that would ever come up. They all obviously know what the game is. They know what they're supposed to say, like the little dogs that they are. But now it's like that won't win in like this is gonna come up in the presidential debates. It's gonna be a big like topic. Like this is gonna be huge. So I don't know. I'm pretty excited to see that no matter what. Daily Riot, man. Yeah, 100%, brother. DM me. Absolutely.
You guys a clip of both Vice President J.D. Vance and President Donald Trump describing their perception of Thomas Massie.
Oh, okay. You know what? It's been an hour. We got 40 votes in. We're going to have to end the poll. And you know what, Doyle? You just eked by. Actually kind of by a lot. Vrilliam crushed it. Vrilliam officially has the gayest voice of the right-wing influencer sphere, beating out John Doyle and Basil. Sorry, Vrilliam. Basil at an 8%. Like I said, the self-described sodomite. 8%. Fucking A, boys. Let's go. That was fantastic.
Listen to this.
I think the problem with Thomas, and I've told him this in private, and now I guess I'll say it in public, is it's one thing to disagree with the party on a particular issue. It's one thing to have your independent stand on a number of questions, but that's one thing. Being independent, having your own opinions is one thing. Voting against the party on every single issue, you're eventually going to make too many enemies.
Thomas Massie's a terrible congressman. He's been a terrible congressman from day one. Dealing with him is just horrible. I don't think he's a Republican. I think he's actually a Democrat. He's not a libertarian. Sometimes they say he's really a Democrat. He votes against.
Is Trump trying to say Democrat? Is he trying to be cute there and funny with his little quips, his little Trumpisms? A Democrat. It is. I think I've said this before, but it is this thing where it's like you really do see him now the way the left did for all those years. You're just like, you're so full of shit. You're such an asshole. I never did. I was always like, this guy's hilarious. How do you guys not love this guy? He's so funny. He's the best. And now I'm just like, I fucking hate this guy. Shut up. You're so full of shit.
All the time. He voted against the border wall. He voted against men playing in women's sports. He voted against transgender for everybody, the mutilization of your children. He voted against, again, open borders.
So, guys.
You say mutilization? The mutilization. Mutilation, I think is the word.
I understand that Thomas Massie's been a thorn in the side of President Trump and the administration at times, but and they'd want to get rid of him. It's partisan politics, what have you. But I wish they didn't have to lie about him. The idea that he is voting against the Republican Party on every single issue is objectively not true. Even the statistics that critics of Massie have cited show him still voting nearly 80% of the time with the party this partial term. And when you look at previous terms, it's over 90%. And then to say he supports transgender for everybody or opposes border security just because he voted against the one big beautiful bill. Well, the reason he voted against that was because it raised the debt ceiling by $4 trillion and added trillions of dollars to the debt. That doesn't mean he de facto opposes every single provision in it. I don't know. To me, this all seems like they say you're allowed to dissent, but then when you actually do so, even in ways where you're more in line with what Trump campaigned on, like actually wanting to release the files or not wanting more wars started overseas, then they still come for your throat anyway. I don't know. Obviously, it's hyperbolic language, Chris, but something about this does give. Like, you will not question, dear leader. It does give slightly cultish energy to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it does, but it's not about MAGA. It's about the tribe. It's like, you're right. Yeah. But why is he saying all that? Like, because Doyle's point is right. Massie actually can't really stop the war. Even if there was a congressional vote, like, he's not going to be powerful enough to do it on his own, right? It's like he's great. It's because he's a thorn in the side of Israel and the Jewish power in this country that supports Israel. Like, it's like, that's the problem. That's why they're like, they really are not. They're talking around this entire conversation. It gets mentioned vaguely, like it's a shadow in the backdrop, but there is no, like, Dave, the Jew, is the one coming closest up to being honest about that whole thing. But it's just like, it's like they're all just pretending that this giant fucking 9,000, this 6 million pound gorilla isn't in the room. I don't get it.
It's a cult. It's a party of personality. You have to, at every single level, being an elected official, you have to give pretty much your soul to Donald J. Trump, both in public and, I would argue, at some level in private. You have to get on the stage like Thomas Massie's.
Once again, just flat out not true, because if you're loyal to Trump, it's proven how many times he'll just cast you aside. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene, that was her entire thing, was being like a MAGA Republican. She was going to be loyal to Trump, but she wasn't loyal to him on the Epstein files or on Israel, and he's out. So what is really the loyalty metric? What is the barometer? Is it being loyal to Trump and MAGA, or is it being loyal to Israel? I'm pretty sure it's the latter.
Opponent did, and basically be like, I want to sleep with my, Trump body pillow at night. I love Donald Trump. Questions I get about the war in Iran, just trust Donald Trump. He's resetting the global order. And I mean, this is what we've seen in the Republican Party for 10 years. It's just the reality. I wish more Americans, again, it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, up, down, left, right, would just understand that this is just this type of loyalty in politics is so toxic. The idea that if you speak out at all against Donald J. Trump, you're just going to be.
I don't think I really need to point out how fucking ridiculous that is coming from someone on the left. It's like, I mean, they went and just rooted out every single person who wasn't like as John pointed out earlier, a gay race communist, and just, it was all about it was like a communist regime level loyalty that was demanded. You had to say all the things and be in on all of it, or you were out, or you were gone. I mean, that's why, Tulsi Gabbard and RFK jumped ship. I mean, that's why they became Republicans, because it was impossible to be on the left if you weren't the most radically intense, like ridiculously tribally loyal person on that party. It was impossible to have a career. So it is funny for this kid. Like, this is what I mean. The left, like they say, the left can't meme. The left can't really argue either, because it's like you have such an opportunity right here to really jump on the right the Republicans with both feet, and you don't even know how to do it. You don't even really know what you're jumping on. You have like the talking point. There's another talking point. It's like, oh, it's about MAGA loyalty. It's like, it really isn't. It really isn't about MAGA loyalty, because plenty of people can be disloyal to MAGA. Mark Levin, Ben Shapiro, how many of these politicians all were never Trumpers. Now they're like the BFFs. It's like, why? Why, kid? What is the difference? It's not MAGA. It's not Trump.
ostracized. You're going to be called the enemy. You're going to be called a Democrat, similar to now what we see with like Marjorie Taylor Greene, who I really strongly dislike Marjorie Taylor Greene. But the idea that all of a sudden she goes against the president and now she's like a Democrat, I'm just watching all this from the background being like, it's like, we told you so. The president, this whole thing's a cult. Can't go against him.
John, do you agree with them like trying to pin just because he voted against the big beautiful bill, which was very big but not so beautiful and was thousands of pages and dumped on them like hours before a vote?
Yep.
Yeah, he voted against that. That doesn't mean he de facto opposes every item in it or supports the things that would have been restricted by it. That seems like a pretty bad faith. I mean, that is how political attacks work, but
Right, but I just think that's a naive understanding of how our processes are actually conducted. I mean, it's like the same thing with talking about his voting record. Like when, Trump and Vance want to say, oh, he's voting with Democrats all the time. They don't literally mean he's voting with them all of the time, but on issues where maybe it matters a bit more, he's voting with them. Or even I think he had the highest likelihood of voting with Democrats of any Republican congressman, even if he's still voting with Republicans like 85% of the time or something. He's still
patently not true. Like, I think this came up on Tom Wood's show last week, I think. And he was talking about how, no, actually, someone crunched the numbers. And under Biden, Thomas Massie voted with the Democrats lower than any other Republican in the House. It was something like less than 2% of the votes he voted with Biden. So actually, no, John. Even this is why you can't win this argument, because you can't tell the truth. You cannot tell the truth that you're not allowed to go against the party on war, on Epstein files, on Israel, on Jews. You can't do it. And that's why they primaried him. That's why they went after him. So you can make up all this shit, but it's all not true. None of it stands up to any kind of factual scrutiny whatsoever. The truth is the thing you can't say. So just keep trying, man. Keep who's John Goyle's audience? Like, boomer Gen Zers? Like, do they exist? You know what I mean? Is it just him and Brylan Hollyhan just liking each other's streams, just giving each other thumbs up on the stuff that they do? Like, who's out there agreeing with John Doyle, sorry. I actually honestly get that mixed up in my head now because it just goes around as that all the time. But like, seriously, like, who is his audience? Like, he's just going to say like patently false things that only boomers believe to young men. They're going to be like, yeah, no, we have the internet, John. Actually, we're not brainwashed by this stuff. Yeah, I mean, absolutely, Atlas. Goyle isn't playing to be right. He's playing to push the Hasbara. Yeah, I know. But, like, who's he convincing with it? You know, at least Ben Shapiro had, like, establishment credibility. And the other guys like Levin and shit and, Hannity, they're old, so an audience came with them. But who is he talking to? Who's listening to him? Like, who's being like, this guy's making good points. You can't go against the party. What Gen Z man is just being like, nope, that's what it's about. Like, no one. There's no one out there for this guy. It's like his fucking high school friends, probably. Target 8059. Well, regarding Tulsi Gabbard, wokeness wasn't the real reason she left. The real reason was because Tulsi also supports Israel. Tulsi said wokeness was why the U.S. didn't bomb places for Israel enough. I don't know. I didn't catch that. What I understood about Tulsi is that she is still more of a war hawk, but it was more that she wanted to really go after Al-Qaeda. She wasn't like a libertarian or anything like that. She just didn't want to fight wars that like weren't in our interest or weren't in destroying like actually declared enemies of the United States. I don't know, but she did get sandbagged by the Democratic establishment. My impression of Tulsi is that she was standing up to the war party. That was my view of it. I don't know if maybe that doesn't bear out with a lot of facts, but I guess I haven't given her much thought of late, so it's hard for me to really dig in and be like, oh yeah, that's definitely true for this reason. But it's that was never my impression. Anything I ever heard her say or whatever, it seemed that she was more in a position in the military where she couldn't actually, like, she's watching this go on and doesn't quite understand it and wanted to get more active in it. That's my impression. I don't know if that's accurate, but he's just there for the boomers. I mean, probably, but I just like, what boomer is going to pick up a new influencer? I like this John Doyle kid, He shoots straight, this guy. I feel like they got their They got their guys. You know what I mean? They got Mark Levin. They got Sean Hannity. They got him. What do they even need? I mean, that's why I'm surprised. Like Tucker's departure on this issue hasn't swayed more boomers. That's the thing I don't understand. I thought he had them like in the palm of his hand, but I guess not. Yes. Tulsi. Yeah. Tulsi did sell shirts that said "No war with Iran." Yeah, it's not very Zionist. That's not very pro-Israel. They've been wanting this war for a long time, so I never saw that.
Affecting at a higher rate. And then two, I'm of the opinion that all of our issues politically are downstream from mass migration. I think that there's been no tool greater to embolden and solidify the Democrat Party than mass migration. I think that insofar as we don't reverse that, anything else we're doing is ultimately futile.
So John, then why do you support Trump? If that's your most important issue, why on earth do you support Trump? Because he has deprioritized that completely. The numbers are out. It no longer relies on speculation where people can bandy about that 2 million removals or self-deportation number, that just complete lie that people are running with. Like, the numbers are officially out, and it's 400,000, and that includes people turned away at the border. If you care about him, if that's your number one issue, even that's the most important thing, head and shoulders above every single issue, John, why are you supportive of the president? Because that's not the president's agenda. It's not the president's priority, clearly. He stopped doing mass deportations because it was, quote, too unpopular. Then he launched the most unpopular war in American history. This doesn't align, John. This doesn't align, John.
And so when I see we have on the table for us the largest increase in border security funding literally ever, to me, like, that's when
it could be the whole budget. It doesn't matter if you're not going to implement it. It could be the entire budget. It could be all $7 trillion of what we spend every year. If you're not going to implement it, who gives a shit how much you spend on it, John?
it's kind of like put up or shut up, because if we don't get that under control, then the debt's not going to matter anyway. The deficit's not going to matter anyway, because Democrats will just have permanent political control and they're going to destroy the economy anyway. So I am willing to make that sacrifice, which I agree. I don't think it's pretty, but I'm willing to, actually spend more money if it means part of what we get out of that is the ability to actually preserve the sovereignty of the country so that we do have a window we can work with. Because if we don't have that window, then nothing we're doing is going to matter anyway, because they're just going to win every election. They're going to have the electoral winter.
Have you said that Thomas Massie is an open borders globalist?
Effectively, yeah.
Okay. Well, Dave, I'll let you kind of respond.
Keep trying to make that argument, John. That'll stick. This isn't Fox News, bud. You know? We're not at your grandfather's retirement home. Like, this is the internet. You know, like, these are politically engaged people, generally on the younger side, who tend to consume this type of information. Younger than boomers, I mean. It's like, that. Who is that going to stick with? He's an open borders global. Bro, like, this isn't 98. You don't have a captive media environment. We can investigate this shit for ourselves. That's just so ridiculous, dude. That's just, I don't know. That's just crazy to me. Target 805. I'm guessing Goyle's intended target audience is the commentary community, lol cow, Kiwi Farm Zoomers who just reflexively do the opposite of what they think Hassan Piker does. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. But I feel like if you're the type of person you're like, okay, you know, I'm reflexively against. You could even, I'm just saying, maybe you start with Doyle. Maybe you start with him, but it's not going to stay with him because he's not saying anything fresh or insightful or particularly dissident, right? He's saying down the line, standard. And not even Republican boilerplate stuff, like Trump GOP boilerplate stuff that is just not, it's not like, it doesn't, we all can patently see that that's bullshit, right? The no new wars president starts a war. You're like, all right, obviously the administration's full of shit. Like, it's too obvious on its face to anyone who's not just like, yep, whatever the Republicans do. So I just can't even imagine like what younger, even mildly younger people would even if you started with him and you're like, oh, I like, this is nice. This is refreshing. It's not just obnoxious left-wing shit. You'd move on. You would move on, I would think. I just can't imagine. Does he do numbers on Facebook? You know what, to be completely reasonable to John Goyle, he did a thing in, I think someone said that's my bit. I'm not entirely sure, but he did a thing on Instagram and Twitter where he would debunk Black history for like a minute every day of February. That was pretty good. I like that content. I watched a few of those. I was like, oh, these are pretty sharp. They weren't all bangers, but there was like a few in there. I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I like getting into stuff like that, especially the kind of the United States mythology. You know, that's just cast in bronze. That's completely unquestionable. I like digging into stuff like that. So good, fair to John. You know, that's fine. But that's where he needs to stay. That's what I'm saying. I don't know why he's having this conversation, because he literally can't make any arguments because the truth is so patently observable. It's just right there for everyone to witness. So I honestly don't even know what he can say. So it's like, why are you exposing yourself like this, John? Just stick to that type of stuff. Stick to social conservatism. Just pretend like everything's going well. Don't even address it. But that's a great point too, Mr. Moss. Facebook is a boomer internet retirement home. Very well put. Very well put. Bill Kristol has no motion, but he gets on these panels and gets quoted in the media. You don't need numbers. That's true, but Bill Kristol is a very influential Jew, and he has been in these like spaces, in the conversation, in the government for years, over 20. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a little bit different. Like, it's not, if I just started running the Trump playbook and saying the Trump thing, like no one's gonna watch what I do. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. What I'm trying to say is, it's like you know, there's certain people that they have access, they have establishment. I don't know that Doyle is that. I mean, he does work for the Blaze, so maybe he gets kind of like a boost. But I don't really see how Kristol's like, yeah, obviously he's gonna stick around. Just like Shapiro's going to stick around. We're going to be seeing Shapiro for the rest of our lives. He's not going to go anywhere. But it's like Doyle's not that. You know, Doyle isn't those guys. He's just, you know, works for the Blaze for now, you know. I would be just like, why is this rape victim doing a political show? It's a fantastic question. Fantastic question.
To that, I don't know if voting against the one big beautiful bill, which happens to include a lot of immigration funding among a gazillion other things, de facto means you're an open borders globalist.
Maybe not de jure, but de facto is key there. In effect, that is what it makes you. You're allied with all the people who are the same.
It's just such a weak argument.
Yeah, literally it's like getting by on a technicality. It's like technically, by de facto. Shut up, dude. Like, what is even the point of that? Like, oh, okay, bro. Like, you just, like, that's, all right, man.
I don't know. And you know, it's as I know, Brad, because you pay attention to this stuff, one of the things that's interesting about it is it's a particular tactic that Democrats typically use, where they'll attach one thing to a gigantic bill, and then if you're against the bill, they claim, oh, see, you hated this one thing. And obviously, Thomas Massie had always been the guy who wasn't going to vote to add $4 trillion to the debt ceiling. And again, let's poll that issue amongst Republican voters. I think most of them would agree. Why can't we have this as a standalone bill? I mean, the Republicans controlled at the time, they controlled both chambers of Congress. They had the Supreme Court and they have the president. Why can't we just get a standalone immigration bill? Why can't we just get a standalone border security bill? There's no reason that you would have to attach this to $4 trillion of extra spending. Brad, then they're trapping you into either you go along with this or we'll smear you as somebody who's weak on the border. And so anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Like right on its face. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so fun. Like the guy on the left, Brad, like, you know, whatever. He's the host. And I think he's trying to do like the thing where I'm just asking questions and I get people talking, which is whatever. I don't know what his politics are. I don't really care. But the other two are like, it's basically, that's the DNC versus the RNC. And it's just like, okay, no one's real. Okay, whatever, guys, whatever cucks. Shut up. But Dave comes in there with like the truth, like boom. It's just right there. Pow. Like that's the reality. What do we even, we're just like, we're gonna quibble about whether Thomas Massie's an open borders global, bro. Come, like, stop wasting people's time. Stop wasting people's time. I saw that, Atlas. I saw that. Shapiro played Fortnite for views, dude. Oh my God. You think soon he'll have like a big, he'll have thumbnails like this? Oh, he'll have like Mr. Beast type thumbnails. That's so pathetic. That's so pathetic. Oh, Benny boy.
just doesn't follow. The bottom line here is that they're both just lying about Thomas Massie because he's not going along with the team. But again, even when J.D. Vance gets into like, he votes against us all the time, which is a lie, or when Trump says he's for everyone transing the kids, which is a lie. I mean, the reason they have to say these things is because they sure don't want to actually get into the principle of it and actually tell you what the issues were that he broke with the Republicans and for the Democrats. And I think the bottom line is this. Look, Brett, Donald Trump came to the Libertarian Party.
Sorry, just look at the defeat in Goyle's eyes. Yeah, that's a raped man right there. That's a raped man. There's not, I mean, I don't even know, like, what, you know what I mean? Because it's like he knows there's nothing to say. What can you say? We know what this is about. It's so obvious on its face, man. He went against the Israel lobby. They unseated him. They primaried him. That's it. You just have to deal with that as the reality. Stop trying to like weave these narratives about him that, you know, oh, he's the most likely to vote with the Democrats and he's an open borders globalist and he's soft on immigrant. Like, shut up, John. Just shut up, John. You know, go play Fortnite with Shapiro.
Bottom line is this. Look, Brett, Donald Trump came to the Libertarian Party. He spoke there and asked for our vote. He tried to be the nominee of the Libertarian Party, actually. They didn't know that that's not how the process works, and it's impossible for him to get it. But that's what he was after. They asked for libertarians to support them, then with promises, including no new wars and releasing the Epstein files. And now not only are they going to completely bail on those promises, but they're going to pour tens of millions of dollars in to unseat the one libertarian member of Congress who was standing up for those things. So if J.D. Vance wants to say, hey, this is just politics, got to vote with the team if you want the team to not spend $32 million to unseat you, well, okay, let's play politics. J.D. Vance has lost my support forever. Now I'm just one guy, but I am fairly influential with some of the most influential.
Never Vance. Never Vance. Now the libertarians are on Never Vance. It's over for old JD. It's over for him. Good. This is what we're talking about. We're going to move on. I'm going to switch videos here. Maybe play a little bit more of this one, but this is what I hate to speak his name because I know how offended people get, but it's like, this is like the Fuentes point. This is the kind of voting Democrat in the midterms thing. It's because, okay, you betrayed us. We're not going to support you. You don't have our support anymore. We're going to go against you now. We're going to use the political process the only way we can, which is to vote for the people who are against you. And they will have committees and they will go after you for the next 2 years. And it's going to make your life a living fucking hell. And who knows? Maybe they'll expose some of this insider trading that's constantly going on. It's so gross on its face. Like, it's so nakedly insulting. It's just out there. They're just insider trading left and right on the war they're starting. It's like they give you the middle finger and they paint their nails before they do it. Just so you see it crystal clear. It's unreal, man. It's unreal. So, I don't know. Maybe the Democrats will dig into their ass. I fucking hope so. I hope that they fucking crush them for the next 2 years. That would be sick. And then we vote them out in 2028, you know. And hopefully, you know, the black swan, the avatar arrives, so to speak. No blasphemy, but it's like, you know,
people in this country. And so, okay, you guys made your choice. This is politics. You've made an enemy out of the libertarians. And now enjoy how this goes. Enjoy where you have a president with the lowest approval ratings he's ever had. By the way, never a popular president ever, but he is now the least popular he's ever been. He's prosecuting the least popular war in American history that is not going very good, and he's about to get destroyed in the midterms. So yeah, great job, Republicans. Great strategy. Go take out the one guy who's beloved by young people and independents and libertarians.
It does raise a question, John, of political capital, right? They've spent all this money and all this energy going after Thomas Massie. And he voted against them on some things. But it's like, okay, 90, whatever, hundreds of votes, then one nay. Like, sure. I'm not sure how consequential some of his obstructionism has actually been.
Yeah. And I disagree. I think the one nay is so much more impactful because when you see those votes, right, and we see them all the time. Remember that happened with the Epstein files? There was like one nay in the Senate, and you're like, who the hell was that? You want to know. So if there's like a bill that almost all of the Republican Congress votes yay on, and there's one nay, you're like, who's the nay? I think that actually highlights like the sort of the corruption or the establishment lockstep behind certain powers when you see the one nay. So yeah, it's like it's not going to have an impact in the sense that it'll affect the vote, obviously, but it will affect people's perception of the vote, and it will affect people's perception of politics, Congress, and the whole machinations of the whole system. I actually disagree. I think that one nay is way louder than if it was 5 or 10. If it's 5 or 10, it just kind of looks like some people disagreed. If it's 1, who's the 1? We need to know. And then what's the bill? And then you look and you're like, oh, this guy's actually, he's the based one. Oh, okay. So I disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, the point is, like, do you really think this administration's problem is Thomas Massie and it's going swimmingly and he's the reason that you're not going to be able to achieve like your anti-immigration vision?
Not precisely, no. And I guess to respond to that briefly, I don't really know if I even believe in the principle itself, because you remember also in the first Trump administration, Massie voted against emergency authorization funding for the wall. So that was without the $4 trillion, and he still voted against that. So he seems...
Hippocratic oath. If MTG was an actual man, she should have stayed in Congress and forced Miriam to split her money fighting with Massie and MTG. That's actually a good point. Her family was receiving death threats, so I guess that's the thing that affected her and she wanted to leave. I don't know. I mean, obviously, if it's your family, I could see being defensive of that. But yeah, I mean, you should have really stayed in for the second year. It's only 2 years. I don't, and then you guys united would be a lot more powerful. Because they both have high profile. MTG, she was like the crazy COVID lady. She seemed wacky. She seemed like a QAnon mom. But people knew who she was. And then once she turned on Israel and they had all this push, because it was her, Boebert, and Mace were the women on the Republican side who helped get the Epstein files out, right? And then Massie. So it's like she had a profile. She could have probably stuck around and done more good things. I agree. I feel like she should have stayed in there, MTG waited until one day after she was fully vested to leave Congress. She fled to Costa Rica. Yeah, it's like, I don't know. Plus, there was some insider trading with her as well. That was kind of sus.
To be principally opposed.
That wasn't a standalone. It was another giant spending bill.
Okay, well, the point being,
the continued resolution is what you're talking about.
Yeah, the point being, it doesn't seem that he has this like principle. It's like the ratchet mechanism where it's only a principled stand against something when it actually like helps Republicans win, and then every other time, he can vote like in lockstep with Democrats more or less. But regarding Thomas Massie,
it's just a lie. It's just not true at all.
Regarding whether Massie
make stuff up like.
Nothing I'm saying is incorrect. Literally, none of this is incorrect.
No. Objectively, what you just said is incorrect, that he votes with the Democrats.
Literally nothing you're saying is correct. Like you misspoke. Actually, nothing you're saying on its face is true. And these things are, once again, provable. They're provable. This isn't like a rhino thing where you kind of have to like look at their voting and kind of recognize that they're traitors. Like Thomas Massie has been consistent on what he said and what he's voted on the entire time. It's so obvious who he is and what he cares about. And this guy's just weaving a narrative that, the Adelsons want him to say. And it's just like, it's like, done. Like, we know what's happening. You are on YouTube. I can go to my fucking Grok and just ask that question as this is happening. What do you fucking do? Who do you think you're tricking, dude? Who do you think you're tricking? I just be a good little goy, I guess. I don't know, man. It's crazy. I don't know. It's pretty fucking wild out there. All right, brother. Atlas, got to go do the family time routine. Good show, foul ball. Good night, everyone. 07's for everyone. 07's in the chat for fucking Atlas thugged. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you, brother. It's good to be here. And yeah, I love doing this show. So thank you very much, brother. Thank you very much. Mark Vendy, she did worse than cheat divorce like Trump. It can be assumed everyone's lost a soul freak before Christ. soul freak. Hence the ultimate power of blackmail. The only way to defeat is true repentance, mercy. Based on a Sunday, very Christ-like. I like it. Daily Riot, let's hope the talk about Massie running for president is real. We'll see. I don't know that he's got the juice to be the president. Vice president, if he was a great, he'd be a solid number 2 to somebody. That would be awesome. I don't know that he's presidential. I like him. He just doesn't have that push. He doesn't have the oomph for me to be the president. But he's based and he's principled and he's consistent. So he's the type of guy I still want in politics. I still want him there as a voice. I don't want him to pivot to podcasting or something like that. I don't want to have Massie moments or something. We don't need that. We need him to be there because he's effective and he's fearless. He does what is hard to do, which is to stand up to the entire Congress, the entire government, and be like, I don't care. I'm doing what I think is right. That's badass, man. That's a lot of peer pressure to stand up to. It's a lot of potential career repercussions, as you see. And it's a threat on, your life's on the line there as well. So, no, I think he's the type of guy that needs to be in office somewhere. I don't know about the president.
Democrats most of the time.
Thomas Massie is the most likely Republican representative to vote with Democrats.
That's a different statement. It's not the factually incorrect one that you just made.
Different bills I would assign different weights to. So effectively, yeah, the guy is a Democrat, which is why, Democrats love him. That's why we have Democrat influencers praising his integrity.
Heritage Action, Turning Point, the pro-life groups, the NRA all give this guy excellent, above average
They're all
Republican
Democratic
scores.
groups, Brad. Tucker Carlson's
those are woke groups.
He's a Democratic show host. And Candace
yeah,
Owens
those
and
are like
Tucker
the fun
Carlson,
wedge bumper
Kelly.
sticker issues. Those are not the issues that actually decide power. Issues like
wow, guns and abortion are right-wing wedge issues. Really? That's not been my observation, man. I'm 41 years old. Those are the things that have been out front. Immigration, guns, abortion. Those are the three, as far as I can see, the most important things to actually red-blooded Americans who care about this country, who are not, pretending to care about the country so that they can do stuff for Israel. People who actually give a shit about this country, people who are Reagan-era conservatives that you're LARPing at being, those are the things they care about. They're not wedge issues, idiot. There's how many states in the union, the day abortion was no longer federally protected, they had laws in place ready to go that triggered that says now abortion's illegal. It's a wedge issue. So weak, dude. So weak.
Immigration are far more important for actually deciding who holds power in this country. So insofar as Thomas Massie's weak on that, yeah, at the end of the day, the guy's basically a Democrat. We can all get up on stage.
The only Democrat representative on this panel who clearly works for the DNC said, I disagree with him on 99% of things. He's a dude, get better jokes, get better material, man. What are you talking about? Hippocratic oath. Massie is highest rated by TPUSA, but stayed quiet. Charlie Kirk's favorite congressman. And they went the other way. They didn't even stay quiet. As far as I now look, I take in so much information. A lot of it's memes, a lot of it's AI, a lot of it's not real. But I'm pretty sure I saw TPUSA and Erica Kirk endorse Gallerin over Massie. I mean, what's this really about? What's this really about, Johnny boy? Oh, hey, let's go. Brian B, 386 for $10. Thank you very much, brother. Most money spent on congressional race was by the Israeli lobby twice. Both times weren't even for the general, but for primaries. 2 years ago to oust, I assume, Jamal Bowman, topped by Massie's primary. Fucking A, Brian. Very succinctly put, very factually accurate. Nailed it. Fucking hit the head. Thank you very much, dude. That's exactly right, and I appreciate that super chat. I mean, this is why John can't articulate any arguments, and he has to make up shit. Right? That's what his entire humiliating appearance here has been, is that he has to lie. He literally has to lie, because what else can he say? He's got to make up shit. He has to come up with some sort of reason that validates why he's on board with getting the most America First, actually good congressman out. It can't be the truth, because we have to pretend that that's not real. So you have to make shit up. And it's no, dude, it's all this information's out there, man. It's not kooky conspiracy shit on the side of the internet anymore. It's right there on the front page. We all see it. It's obvious. But thank you very much for the super chat, brother. I appreciate you, homie.
And talk about the right to life or the right to own guns. That's the fun stuff that we argue about at Thanksgiving. What actually decides the composition and political function of the country is the border, is sovereignty. And Massey's weak on that issue.
So being pro-life doesn't matter now? It's only immigration?
I thought, and you say, I make the straw man's. Every other issue is downstream of immigration. People who are coming into this country from the third world have far more liberal attitudes about literally every policy, including even...
No, he's actually right about this. This is 100% true. He's right. That's true. That's actually a good point. But if you actually believed that, if you had that as a conviction, then you wouldn't support Trump, John, because he's not a pro-immigration, deportation president. That's all rhetoric. That's all bullshit. The numbers are out. The truth is out, man. The jury is in. The verdict is here. He's not. So if you care so much about that, how can you stand up here and support Trump? Why? Because he funded ICE? Great. What's he doing with it? Nothing.
Things like pro-life issues, abortion issues, stuff like that. So yes, insofar as we have more of those people coming into the country, legally or illegally, the Democrat Party is going to have greater room to maneuver and become further left, which is why the country has become so far left in the past 60 years. It's not because the Democrats...
Yeah, this is all stuff he's right about, but that still doesn't make sense that you support Trump.
Got better at making arguments is because they changed the composition of the country to people who are more sympathetic to leftist collectivist attitudes coming from.
So the question there is why
countries.
the most extreme Democrats are the white Democrats who were born in America, and the less extreme, less woke Democratic voters tend to be the racial minority voter base. But I'll bring...
That's not at all. That's a terrible counterpoint, because the answer to that is it's like for access to power. Obviously, because saying those things will get you in front and center in the DNC. Why would they do that? Because they don't have a soul. They don't care. They're for that. Why would the whites be? Because it's the white face on the browning of America. That's not really. That's actually that's a terrible counterpoint. John just said some of the dumbest shit possible, and that's all you could come up with. Why would the whites do it? Because it looks bad when a brown guy's up there saying we need to import 1 million illegals. But if a white person's saying it, it sells better. Is that really a question? Jesus.
And Chris here, I mean, you're the Democrat. You're the one involved in Democratic politics. Do you see Thomas Massie and his scorecard and his legislative record and think one of us?
No, absolutely not. And again, I was live streaming last night reacting to some of the election results, and I wanted Thomas Massie to win purely for our democracy. I just think it's bad if there's a party that is, again, purely based off loyalty to the president. So no, I don't view Thomas Massie as, quote, one of us, but I appreciated the work that he did on the Epstein files. He seemed principled in other issues. I don't know Thomas Massie's, particular voting record off the top of my head. But again, I'm just kind of, I think it's good for our country if the party is not full of loyalists. And I'm sitting back kind of listening to all this, Donald, if only, not to be this guy, Dave or Brad, but if only somebody was screaming and yelling, hey, the president's a liar. He doesn't actually mean what he says about no new wars or releasing the Epstein files or any of this stuff. And so now, again, objectively, the Republican Party is kind of starting to crumble here, and Donald Trump is the most unpopular he's ever been, with inflation skyrocketing and the Iran war happening and the Epstein files nowhere to be found. So I don't know. I'm just kind of sitting back smiling.
Here's where I have to flip it back on you, though, that during the Biden years, we did see a president in clear cognitive decline. Then we did see a Democratic and liberal media establishment where people were...
That was the gayest eye roll I've ever seen in my life. Watch the dude on the right.
Decline. Then we did see...
One more time. Gayest eye roll I've ever seen.
We did see a president in clear cognitive decline. Then we did see a Democratic and liberal media establishment where people were...
He should have just been like, no. That was like a sassy black woman reaction. That's not a man. What was that? Girl. Girl, no. Biden was sharp as a tack. Oh, my God.
were very afraid to say that truth. And there was something of a, like, you can't say the quiet part out loud. You can't turn against Biden. The ones who did were very viciously attacked, and eventually it became so undeniable.
Is this motherfucker working in a silent film? What are these reactions? Yeah. Whoo. Bro, like, just listen to the question and then respond. Guy's like, he's miming. Like, calm down.
That everyone the dam broke, but it's like I don't think we should pretend that that Republicans are the only one with any sort of partisanship or tribalism.
Look, sure, I understand where you're coming from with that conversation, but obviously you would agree that we're like comparing apples to oranges here. There is no comparison between potentially just the question of where does loyalty have a role in politics, which I think is something that people have debated for decades, and the loyalty of the current Republican Party, which is way past that conversation, is way past.
Just keep hammering the talking point, kids. Shut up. Mark Vendy, I've been doing this for 10 to 20 years, depending on how you consider it, and it all boils down to white babies based. It's just that almost all of our women are disgraceful sluts. Act as cooch-seeking missiles. It's a problem. It's a real problem. You know, and it's like, even if they were behaving more modestly, their brains are cooked, man. Their brains are cooked, bro. Like, I know that there's allegedly all these based women out there. You know, I remember they were seeing lots of girls in like Trump hats and stuff. And you know, I there's a chick in my life who's quite she's quite based. You know, she's, well, not really, but she's, for a chick, she's based. But it's the cooked mentality. It's like, it's not even that, oh, we have a disagreement on politics. It's like, oh, no, I don't see it that way. And it's like, you're not even a human being anymore. Like, you need to just go. You're just out of like, I can't work with you. I can't be around you, date you. That's insane. I think that is a huge part of the issue. Like, the whore thing, yes, gets a lot of traction. And I think that's true. But I think their brains being cooked on this political shit from the word go is almost a bigger problem. Like, and the fact that it's like, it's insurmountable, you know, because we can bring back shame, you know, we can bring back slut shaming, but we can't, I don't know how you undo all the programming. It's like the generations are just, you just got to move through and start over, but we need the kids. So what do? I know. GeoGasser for $5. Thank you very much, GeoGasser. Idea. If we massively join the next car race with cheap cars to make those big sponsors ineffective, sorry, everything I wrote was blocked. I'm trying to translate this idea. If we massively join the next car race, okay, let's see, presidential race with cheap cars. I don't get it. Are you saying like flood the zone with Canada? I don't get it. I don't know what you're trying to say. Fuck, I'm sorry. I appreciate the super chat, but I don't know what you're trying to get at there, man. I don't know what you're trying to get at there. But thank you for the super chat, man. I appreciate it. See if you can like try to put it in code, or you can DM me. But try to put it in code into the chat, and then I'll read that. I don't know. I don't know what you're getting at there. I mean, I'm just too stupid. But Hippocratic Oath. Amy Dangerfield is a trad wife. What are you talking about? Yeah, fair, dude. How brutal are those videos, huh? Where the guy like leaves a room that they were in, and then she comes out behind him, and he pulls up his zipper. Dude. You know, like, if I had, like, a wife who had a past, like, I would not love it. I would be very upset to learn that. But it would be 10 times worse if everyone else knew it. That would be so much worse. Oh, that would suck so much, dude. The guy zips up his pants. Brutal. That's almost as bad. Not quite as bad, but it's almost as bad as Lauren Southern. No, wait, what was the girl's name? Not Lauren Southern. Who was the blonde who was fucking, who was having sex with that big Chad dude, whose name I can't remember. God, there's so many fucking influencers. What was her name? You guys probably know who I'm talking about. The one who, like, the text got leaked and the voicemail or the recording of her admitting that she cheated on her man while they were waiting for marriage. She was getting railed. Oof. Sarah Stock. That's it, Mark. Yes, Sarah Stock. That's it, dude. That's the one. That was brutal. And was it Elijah Schaefer? Was that the guy? Oh, dude, that was brutal. That was brutal. Like that, I don't know. Like I could never recover from that if I was that guy. But for everyone else to know, it's like put that guy on suicide watch, man. Brutal. Oof.
Any type of, hey, do we need to get behind Joe Biden because this is our best shot at, helping the country survive, and all these other questions that I think are at least based in good faith, as opposed to...
I don't know. You're kind of downplaying a massive cover-up.
Okay.
No,
certainly not.
No.
On a team against him. I mean, come on, dude. Listen.
No. I think these are two separate. I think one of those conversations it's apples to oranges. You're talking about people coming at a question with good faith, trying to understand what the person to lead their party, who's best to do that, and everybody in Donald Trump's world being like a pure loyalist at every single...
It's just like, it's just such... It's not even like on its face true. Like, yeah, there's these people, but he's lost so many. He's like, Joe Kent is out, Tulsi's out. Who was it early on? Him and Elon had a big fight. He was out. It's just not true. It's just patently not true. Like I'm fine to go down some of this road, but he just keeps hammering that talking point, and you're like, that's just not accurate. Like even the people who are the ones that are the most loyal, like I pointed out earlier, they're all never Trumpers. This is all about Israel. And it's about being loyal. It's not about being loyal to Trump. It's about being loyal to Israel and the Israel lobby and the global Jewry. Like that's what this is about. Like stop. Like it's embarrassing. You say it once, okay, but you keep hammering this point. It's like, all right, kid. You know what I mean? Shut up. The adults here are having a conversation. It's like ridiculous.
Level because they only care about themselves.
A little bit,
yes, Dave,
please.
Okay, so first of all, I'm sorry, but
By the way, Mark, I wasn't calling Elijah a Chad. It's just that, he's tall, blonde dude. So I was just saying, I don't, whatever. Elijah, I saw he did a interview with Nick. I didn't really know who he was, other than knowing of him. I never really watched him. And I watched that and I was like, I'm good on Elijah Schaefer. I don't really need to check much else of what he does, But, you know what I'm saying. I think just to drive the point home that she was, oof. That poor fucking guy. What do you do in that situation, Do you kill your wife? You just kill her? You're newlyweds. You're literally in the honeymoon phase. It had been months. And then that comes out. And you hear her voice. It's not even an accusation that she could lie to you and you could just believe the lie just to find some inner peace. You heard her say it. Explicitly, and you're just and multiple nights, brutal, dude, so brutal. Yeah, exactly, dude. Oh, that's what you were talking about. You mentioned AIPAC would split the funds if there were another race. What if what if next primaries we flood 1 million so-and-so candidates and it'll force AIPAC to pulverize resources, financial and human? Well, they have infinite resources, so. I don't know that that's a plan that'll work. I mean, they literally have trillions of dollars. It's they have infinite resources. But it would kind of be this is a reference no one's going to get, but it'd be like the movie Hackers, where at the end, when they have to defeat the big evil computer, they get hackers from all over the world, and they just start throwing all these viruses at the system, at the kernel, and it's a visual of all these red, viruses that are visualized in 1997's computers, idea. But it'd be like that. It'd be like that scene. No one gets that. No one knows that reference, but that's the thing that popped into my head. Yeah, maybe. But thank you. I appreciate you, brother. Thanks for that super chat. Mitchell Black. Hello, Mitchell Black. Thank you very much for the $4.99 super chat. Uncle Dave looking like he's about to tell his liberal nephew about Jews at Thanksgiving dinner. I was noticing how scruffy he's looking. How that is just, he just looks tired of all their shit. He doesn't even look like he wants to win these debates. He's just do I have to fucking trash these retards right now? He does look just tired of tired of their shit. He said, yeah, hack the planet. Yes, Tix Bomber. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah, dude. You do know. Nice. Very good. He said as much that, I think he said this to Tucker, that he wishes he could be a cranky right winger, but he just knows too much about American foreign policy, so that's why he's more of a libertarian. That's, it's Dave's perspective. It's why it's his thing. But it's like, I think that's probably, for him, I would believe that would be the perspective, and it aligns with that vibe. Thank you very much for the super chat, Mitchell.
Frame everybody being like cowed into staying silent about the president who was clearly
I don't think everybody.
senile.
Let Dave flesh out his point.
Clearly senile, and it's not till after that debate that they all admit it. It was literally a cartoonish, like Emperor's New Clothes scenario. And
this fucking idiot. See, this kid, not Dave. This kid, right? He had Dave on his side. He had Dave, like, where they could be piling on Goyle, right? They could do it together. But now, because he said something so absurd, so dumb, so DNC talking point dumb, that now it's like, all right, kid, no, fucking stop. We're not doing this. We're not pretending because we don't like Trump that now everything that happened under Biden is okay. And that no, you're right. He was fully functional. Okay, yeah, right. Fucking idiot. Dude, the left, I swear. Dave looks like he regrets leaving Legion of Skanks to do this. He's like, wait a minute. Well, I had a good gig. Why did I decide to talk politics full time? That's stupid. I wonder why he made that decision. I wonder if it's just because of his rising profile in the political sphere. I mean, that's really how I think of Dave. I've not really consumed much of his comedy. It's really just more of his political stuff. I don't really know. It's an interesting question. I didn't watch Legion of Skanks either, though. I don't really like live comedy podcasts because I just feel like they're playing to the crowd too much, and I just don't find that all that entertaining. But it was about that. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. He's like nationally known for this, I don't think, no disrespect to Dave, I don't think he was ever going to become nationally known as a comedian. Now he's nationally known as a political commentator, and he's a damn good one. So, yeah.
To say that was just like a good faith like debate over who's best to lead the country, I think is not exactly fair. But I will point this out, like, if you're going to say that, like, oh, it's a whole different level of the cult-like following that Donald Trump supporters have with Donald Trump, I mean, I just think the empirical evidence is really going to argue with you on that. I mean, look, Barack Obama, I'm a little bit older than you, so I've lived, like, Barack Obama promised, he campaigned on ending the wars. He campaigned very explicitly on closing Guantanamo Bay, restoring habeas corpus, ending the war in Iraq. He turned around, he did nothing of the sort. He expanded.
Look, honestly, this is embarrassing, but I voted for Obama in 2008 for that exact reason, because I was looking at these terror wars and I couldn't believe how poorly they had gone and how out of hand they had gone and how much of my generation was fighting in them. I was like, what the hell is this? We've been completely betrayed. These wars are horrible. There are no WMDs. Bush is such a fucking liar. We need to, we need to shake this up. This guy saying he's going to get us out of the war is great. And so that was that was the move. And then the thing is, I think what Dave's about to say, I haven't watched this part of the podcast, but what I assume he's about to say is that didn't cost Obama anything. At least as far as like the DNC and the left-wing loyalists are concerned, they voted for him again. And they still look fondly back on Obama. The reason Biden even got elected was because he was attached to the Obama administration, if you believe it, which, come on. But, on its face, right? It's like, so, yeah, to say that, like, it's just the MAGA people who are cult-like, it's like, it's just disingenuous and facile, and who cares? Is it a pissing contest? Which side is more tribal? Like, okay. It's like, I feel like, the more astute point is that the right or the Republicans or MAGA, whatever's left of that, are loyal to Donald Trump, whereas the left is just loyal to the left. It doesn't matter who it is. I mean, that's why Kamala Harris still got, 68 million votes or something like still pulled in a lot of votes. And I used to joke, it could have been a fucking iPad. It could have been a face on an iPad, and it would have gotten just as many votes. It doesn't matter as long as it's not Trump, as long as it's a Democrat. So his argument is weak, and he keeps hammering it. If he just said it once, he might have gotten away with it, but to keep saying it over and over is like, kid, the whole thing was pounding on Goyle, and now you just turned it around. Now we got to fucking pound you, pause. AI or Alaska Flood 23. Fuentes boosting Fishback is sus. That guy is a plant. Look up James Fishback. Do believe he's doing straight Hezbollah. I did hear about that. I don't know. So that's actually something I should probably investigate in. I'm not I like being on the Fishback train because it's like he's got motion, he's got aura, all those cool Gen Z terms. But he does. But I like him. But yeah, I've heard this as well, and I think I saw, was he on with Tucker? I didn't love him. It wasn't what he was saying, it was his vibe. I was like, this feels manufactured. This doesn't feel real. I don't know. That was just my impression, but I've heard that about him, so fair enough. But I don't know. I think he's pretty cool to me so far. I think he's got aura. He's got motion.
And at all of them. You didn't see a mass exodus. You didn't see him plummet in his approval rating number. You didn't see Rachel Maddow and Stephen Colbert and Jon Stewart and Bill Maher coming out and all denouncing him. That's exactly what you're seeing with Donald Trump right now. It is pretty amazing that Donald Trump has lost Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Candace Owens, Alex Jones. All of his most influential supporters are actually standing on principle. And
I can't put that on the screen, Bendy, but that's hilarious.
going, no, we voted for no new wars and this isn't what we want. So you can say like, hey, there was someone yelling all of this to you at the time. Believe me, I had heard it. I had been saying it myself through much of the first term. The point is that it didn't happen in a vacuum. It happened in a scenario where the alternative was Kamala Harris, who had been forced in there and in the most undemocratic way after they had pretended that the clearly seen.
This fucking fruitcake shaking his head. It's like, dude, take just like, these are facts. To sit there and deny a fact is ridiculous. Just like take the premise and let him finish before you react and you look like such an idiot. Like these people, it's so weird when they put their plants in there, they're so bad at it. Like they're so clearly disingenuous. Like, no, that didn't happen. It's like, it happened. Obviously it happened. There was like a coup in the White House. They ousted Biden. He some letter where he just said he wasn't going to run, which he probably didn't even write, got tweeted out for him, held no primary, and then just made it Kamala. Like, that happened. Like, you don't have to argue against that. You can still defend it. You could even lie and be like, no, I still think he was a better president. He was doing better for inflation, because you could have that on your side. Like, just to deny the reality, it's like you're doing the same thing Goyle was doing, and that's not working out for him. So just, you can make your argument with the truth, but as soon as you start lying or denying reality, everyone's just like, all right, kid, fucking shut up. Tix Bomber, dude was one of the slickest and most eloquent speakers in his prime at that time. I assume you mean Obama, and yeah, dude, like even after I look back on Obama, like with disdain, and that guy was a charlatan, it's like you still be like, he's hard to not like. He's a charming, slick motherfucker, man. He was articulate, you know, and he was a lot like Trump. He said what you wanted to hear, you know. I remember listening to it. I think I listened to his audiobook. This, honestly, I feel like that must have been a book on a CD back then. I swear, I think that was. It was probably like 2007. So it's probably on a CD. Jesus Christ, I'm old. But I was listening to it, and he was like firm with like the black community, like in this book. He's just like, you know, basically like, you know, giving them shit about crime and their, you know, birth rates and like the out of wedlock marriage, like babies and all that stuff. Like he was like in the book, as I recall, this was like 20 years ago. I listened to this book, but it was like I remember being like, oh yeah, like that's pretty okay. I respect that he's like serious on that. Or it obviously did nothing to affect that total bullshit, but he knew what you wanted to hear and he told you what you wanted to hear, and he was articulate. I mean, that's the thing, right? Both those guys did have aura. Like Trump was the man, dude. During the primary run, that was incredible. Just one-shotting people, like Ted Cruz taking him down, Marco taking him down, Hillary Clinton, you'd be in jail, just, you know, like just crushing people with one-liners and just bravado and boisterousness. You know, they had swag back then. They had that, and if it's just, you know, just didn't follow through. So we just need to stop giving a shit about what they say, really. You know, it's like we obviously listen to what they say, but then the truth is who's behind them, and that's what you really need to know. That's the truth of the president, of the politician, who's behind him.
Senile president wasn't. So yeah, that was our choice, and a lot of us went with him.
I'm gonna again. Well, really quickly, just yes or no before I respond to all of that. You don't actually believe that the current Republican Party is equally.
You know what would be funny too if this kid was like, "Hey, as a representative of the Democratic Party, I can't acknowledge any of that. Well, can we just move? I'm just gonna blow past it if that's okay with you." Like, you know, like it'd be funny if he made like a joke about it. Like, yeah, I can't go against that orthodoxy, so I'm just gonna, you know, go into my spiel, my bullshit. Like, made like a joke about not being able to contradict that or something, some self-awareness, but trying to pretend that Kamala Harris wasn't forced in there and Biden wasn't senile. You're like, nigga, like, come on.
As, let's say, loyalty based as just any other, like the Democratic Party of you know, the Biden years and so forth. It's all just the same to you in terms of loyalty. You don't see this Democratic or this Republican Party as any more cultish.
I think Donald Trump demands more loyalty while giving out none of it. I also think he's receiving less of it from the most influential conservatives in the country than the Democrats did. Yeah.
Well,
it's objectively true.
Yeah. And in relation to I have to kind of flesh out and think about a lot of what you just said.
Well, I mean, all the most popular right-winger commentators.
Yeah, I know, kid. You're simple. Yeah, it's tough. I get it. You know, thinking on your feet for a man with such a small brain is going to be difficult. We understand. We'll grade on a curve here.
In the country have turned on Donald Trump.
Yeah, but two things here. Number one, I think that I would argue people like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson or Megyn Kelly, they turned on Donald Trump because they're politically incredibly savvy. Like, I think Tucker Carlson is borderline a psychopath, and I think that he knows, like, he doesn't believe in anything. He hated Donald Trump in 2021 after January 6th. We had the subpoena text messages.
You have one
yeah, no, he absolutely hold on. He absolutely did. We have the subpoena text messages to prove it. Him texting.
You have one text message doesn't prove anything.
No, it's not one text message. It's one text message where he says, can I finish speaking? It's a barrage of text to suggest that Tucker Carlson, again, saying, I despise this guy, I hate this guy. Then all of a sudden, by 2023, when his political capital is back, he's, you know, sitting him down and having him with his podcast session and all this shit.
I don't think this kid's entirely wrong about Tucker here. There are a lot of contradictions in who Tucker is. Fuentes highlighted this really well when he went in, did the deep dive on like all these these things that like Tucker lies about, and you're like, why are you lying about that? Like the fact of his dad being in the CIA, and he flat out lied. He was on Candace's show. He's like, I didn't even know about that until after he died. And then he was like, a few weeks before that, he was on Sean Ryan's show saying that his dad was in the CIA. It was like, so why would you lie about something like that? And then you go back to, he found like a clip of him in like, God, it was a while. It was maybe 2004 or something like that, somewhere in there, where he was like going in on Pat Buchanan about the war in Iraq. And then all the other stuff about him being in Nicaragua as a kid during the Contras and just, you know, never acknowledging that honestly. And then, yeah, and the betrayal. I think there's something he's right about is picking up on political savvy. I don't think it's because he's like Piers Morgan, where he's just riding whatever popular wave. It's like he may be able to see these coming, but I think he's trying to affect some kind of political end behind the scenes that we can't really observe. Maybe it is just about pushing J.D. Vance as to be the presidential nominee. I mean, that's a likely outcome. I think that's what Fuentes puts out there. I can't say for sure. I don't know what's going on behind the scenes with Tucker, but it is evident that he is disingenuous. We have proof that he's disingenuous quite a bit. So it's like this kid's using the information incorrectly, but his observations are not wrong.
I think that Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene or Megyn Kelly or any of these other people saw the writing on the wall. They're incredibly politically savvy. They're, I would argue, in it for themselves.
And I don't think that's true about Marjorie Taylor Greene at all. I think she was completely blindsided by the fact that Trump did not stand by her. I think she was completely naive and believed what Trump said on his the things that he said was what he believed, and she was just like, right, Mr. President, we're going to do this, and he was like, you can't, don't follow this thing. And when she went and did it, followed her conscience, that's when it bit her in the ass. I don't think she's an opportunist. I think she was like naive. I think she didn't realize the world, the waters that she was swimming in. That's my read on it.
And they know that this whole Trump world, they saw it just before everyone else, is collapsing, and they need to position themselves for the post-GOP world. Hold on. But really quickly, I'm gonna let you respond.
All right, guys. Sorry.
Tucker lost his fight with the demon, and yeah, that was the other thing too. It was like, he had this scratch. He had like the scratch from the demon, and it's like, the demon? Was the demon a 22-year-old hooker when you were on the road? You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, come on. Like, I believe in demons too, but what's more likely here? And so you told your wife you got attacked by a demon because you were cheating? It's possible. That seems more reasonable to me. I don't know. I'm not saying I know. I'm just saying. Okay, Tuck. All right.
Just Chris briefly, then Dave, and then
Okay.
I'm gonna bring John back in the
Sorry,
conversation.
I got distracted. I'll finish very quickly to the first point, which is that, yeah, look, I don't think like everybody, all these people just knew that Biden was, quote, senile and then decided to cover it up. Me, frankly, I felt like Biden was fit for the job up until I think about this all the time. I thought Biden was.
Tix Bomber, 100%. I don't buy that at all. The whole gee shucks golly gee whiz kind of thing. It's like, and he's like, oh, don't believe everything you read on the internet to that kid who's like, he's not rich. It's like, you have to be rich. You were the #1 anchor at Fox News. You were born into a trust fund. I think it was like, wasn't it like some frozen food, like Swanson frozen food, like family fortune? Wasn't he like an heir to that? Like, it's like, you're rich. Like, why are you quibbling about this? But it's because he's cultivated this, gee shucks, I'm up here in the woods with my dogs and I'm fishing and I like my Zins or whatever they are. Them out pouches. You're like, okay. I mean, look, just drop the act, And that whole thing was like, why would that be? Why is that? Like that whole, I mean, I know you're doing the host thing and you're just feeding them up meatballs, but dude, come on, bro. Come on. Mr. Mossy. Let's also be honest about MTG. She's a girl boss feminist. Look, I mean, that's why I think Atlas should really go back and do the Consequences of Feminism series, because I think that was so important. That was such a good idea. That's like, and I understand why, he's got to focus on different stuff, and it's hard. I get it, but it's these feminist priors are so baked into people in our society that are almost like insurmountable, right? Like I have like conservative girls that I know, like right-wing girls that I know. And I've had the conversation with them where I'm like, hey, like if women didn't have the right to vote, you would get the things that you want politically more rapidly. Like it would be more effective for you to get the things you want if you and all women didn't have the right to vote. They weren't having it. They were just not having it. They're like, no. But it's just like, regardless of the outcome, it's like the feminism is so cooked in there, so baked in there that it's just part and parcel with like, people who live right now, like in America. Like it's part of our liberal programming. So yeah.
Able to run and good to run for re-election later than most people did, and I would still defend that idea. I think there's questions about yeah, absolutely.
Oh boy. All right, well, we can go into that another time.
That being the case, like Kamala Harris comes in not in an undemocratic way. The electorate votes for the people to send to the DNC to vote for her. So I think that whole thing about Biden being this whole cover-up is a little
well, there should have been a primary because Biden shouldn't have run again.
No, I actually disagree with that because the only way to have a primary is you have to be able to primary somebody, and nobody ran against Kamala Harris. I would agree that there should be
others would have entered if Biden had not run for the election.
But that's just
primary.
No, but the DNC just assigned the candidate. They didn't have a primary. Like what? No, like it's not how that works. Like you can't just. Oh, well, Biden's not running. Well, then de facto, it's the vice president. It's like, no, you just didn't want to lose all that campaign money, so you had to run Kamala. Like, come on, stop. Like, this is why are you why is this kid having these arguments about stuff that's A, irrelevant, and B, dude, so obvious. Stop doing this. It's just so not worth the energy. You've been up there on this show lying and making up narratives, and yet you were still winning. And now, because you have to toe every single DNC line, like John pointed out at the beginning of the show, now you've just lost all of the gains you got. It's like you won the debate, or were winning like on your side by being full of shit, but you just took that too far, and now it's over. Now it's over. Now that everyone's going to pile up on you. Like the libertarian and this guy who's like probably so, kind of like a centrist, like maybe mildly center right Democrat, like now they're all piling on you because no, bro, no. Yeah, exactly, Oscar. She was in last, like by a mile. I don't even think it was 10%. Nobody liked Kamala, and you even saw that in the administration. Like she wasn't even around. They didn't even show her. She wasn't on TV. She wasn't giving speeches. You see JD Vance all the time. You never saw her ever. Like for like 2 years, they just locked her up in a room or something like that. She didn't make media appearances at all. And they're pretending like, no, this guy's like trying to run the DNC line. It's like, bro, listen, you got away with it. Like, just drop it. Just be like, yeah, you got me. Of course, that's fucking bullshit, and move on. Don't spend up all this time on the show making yourself look like a total asshole to defend something that's completely indefensible. Like, dude, shut up.
Well before Biden was out of there, and Bobby Kennedy was running as a Democrat, was getting millions of supporters, raising tens of millions of dollars. There was a major challenger, and they shut it down. The head of the DNC said, we will not have a primary.
No, I think those are two different questions, right? Obviously, Kennedy was not a Democrat, or by the time Biden dropped, there was nobody.
I just love as the words Kennedy was not a Democrat are coming out of your mouth.
No, that's absolutely true. Like, I'm referring to at the time,
it's like, yeah, that's like saying like, you know, like the royal family, you know, that they're not royalists. It's like, dude, the Kennedys defined the Democratic Party. Like that's synonymous. You know what I mean? It's like, what do we do, dude? What are we doing? Come on. But this is like, what's funny is the more this kid talks, the more he's actually making John Doyle's like earlier points about not being able to contradict any of the orthodoxy on the left. It's like, yeah, like you're making John's earlier points better by you just speaking. Wow, this kid sucks at this. It's funny. I was here to just kind of, you know, fucking rag on Goyle, but like this kid is such an idiot.
At the time there was supposed to be a primary, Bobby Kennedy was not a Democrat, right? He had switched to being an independent. He was like, I'm done. No, in terms of his party affiliation, he had announced that he was no longer a Democrat.
Guys, I'm going to move us along here because I don't know that we need to.
I'm sorry, Brett. I'll keep this real quick. Sure. I'm sorry, but
final thought
to the topic that we were on. I mean, look, dude, if you're just being honest here, just like if you hear yourself talking, you're saying, hey, look, there's way more cult-like following on this side than the other, and then I point out, maybe I overstate it by saying all the biggest right wingers, but 7 out of the 10 top biggest right wingers have all turned on Donald Trump. So that kind of pokes a hole in your, and then you immediately just went to psychoanalyzing all of them. And
yeah, and he got so off track with so much bullshit. I truly forgot what the actual subject of the debate was, or the subject of the disagreement, because he just started running all the DNC bullshit, and it was just like, wait, what were we even talking about? Like, I totally forgot. Target, DNC, sorry, Dave Smith is right. The DNC blocked both RFK and Marianne Williamson from entering the 2024 primary against Biden. Yeah, dude. Like, if you remember, like RFK was potentially going to run as like a spoiler against Trump for a while there. Like he was going to pull some of those votes away because he was a more centrist Democrat who was like threatening to run independent. I think he even got himself on the ballot as an independent in several states, to the point where he couldn't get his name taken off the ballot that followed all the way through the election. I think that that's accurate. So this kid is just, you know, obviously full of shit, but it's like, it's such a wasteful part of this discussion to even break any of that down. It's like, no, you were actually having like a decent discussion about the loyalty of the parties and, you know, like the bullshit commitment that people have to have. And this, you know, it was actually like a relatively constructive conversation. To start getting bogged down into this, like asinine, like I said, objectively provable stuff is just like, bro, shut up, man. Shut up.
Saying that, well, their motivation isn't really this, or their motivation is this, but at that point you're just guessing. You don't. I personally know Tucker Carlson, so I'm a more educated guess than you, and I really think he turned on him over the war, which is what he said.
Well, I'm going to move us and bring John back in here. I'm actually curious for your thoughts on this, John, because Dave has obviously articulated a true phenomenon, which is kind of the independent or alternative right-wing media ecosystem turning against Donald Trump. But that's also not the same thing as Republican voters, mainstream kind of Fox News, and all Republican politicians and congressmen and senators for the most part. So where do you see this? I mean, do you see this, John, as Trump no longer having support among a large swath, or is it just podcastistan, as it is derogatorily referred to?
Yeah, I think a lot of podcasters have turned on him. And again, I don't know what their hearts are saying.
Alaska, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Mate, Jimmy Dore, Ryan Grimm, and Do Dissidents are great leftists. They just need Dave Smith to teach them economics. I've listened to many of them. I like Ryan Grimm. He says some dumb shit, bro. He says some dumb shit. I was watching Breaking Points one day, and he quoted Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I was like, nigga. Like, no, not him, dude. No. Like, I lost a lot of respect for Ryan Grimm that day. And I think he's a great reporter. And I think if you want to be up to date on what's going on with the war in Iran and Gaza, you should follow Dropsite. Follow their Twitter, look at their Substack. It's so up to date. They're so good on the subject. It's really informative. But yeah, no, I don't know. Jimmy Dore's okay. I like Jimmy Dore. He's solid. I don't know Aaron Mate or Aaron Mate. I don't know who that is. Blumenthal's good, but I think he worked for the Clintons, right? Or his dad worked for the Clintons or something like that. And Do Dissidents is okay, but they're socialists though. And at the end of the day, they force everything through that fucking lens. Like I was listening to them talk about OnlyFans, and they were saying that the reason women are doing OnlyFans en masse is because, isn't that an indication of late stage capitalism? It's the only asset they have left to sell. And I was like, what? That's your interpretation as to why all these women are doing OnlyFans? The entire country for the past, 15 years, 20 years has been systematically shifting to make all the paths to money and wealth and power and jobs in this country completely streamlined and friction-free for women. Yet they still do all these OnlyFans. And your conclusion is that's the evidence that late-stage capitalism exists? Like, brother. And I know you say Dave Smith needs to teach him economics, but it's that framing. I do check in with these people. Like I said, Ryan Grimm mostly because his reporting is so good. Do Dissidents lost me that day, but they're okay. As far as leftists go, they're fine. It's like they're not too bad. But yeah, I know who you mean. But yeah, Jimmy Dore's retarded. Jimmy Dore's he's okay. He's okay. I like Jimmy Dore. I like Kurt Metzger. They're a little nuts for me. They're a little too sporadic. It's kind of exhausting to listen to them sometimes. So I'm kind of like, all right, I check in with them. But Ryan Grimm is impossible for me to listen to. He stutters. I think he's having a stroke. Really? I never noticed that. Maybe I'll pay attention to that next time. I don't know.
But I think a lot of it may just have to do with the general nature of needing to consume content where, the old adage goes, you never read a headline that says a plane landed safely. I think that even when things were going very well during like the Trump administration, before some of these more embarrassing PR things came about, people were still like trying to read into any little thing that happened and amplify.
Embarrassing PR things, John? Covering up the Epstein files and going to war for Israel, those are not embarrassing PR things. Those are a betrayal of the American people, brother. They're not little glitches. It wasn't a hot mic where he said something embarrassing or, text messages leaked that he was, trying to bang someone. This isn't like a oopsie. We can all move on from this. These are complete betrayals of not only the American people, but also his stated goals as president, what he exactly campaigned on. So, once again, brother, you're the one who has to live with yourself.
It into being the end of the world, which I would guess is probably, and then even when it was disproved to just be some like BS headline or it wasn't true, they wouldn't concede that. They would jump.
Yes, dude. Yes, exactly. Race issues are a distraction from the real class war, but also the elites are white supremacists and took down. I mean, they want talk about holding contradictions, bro. Like, if you're just like an economic leftist, I actually am a little interested in what you have to say. I might not agree, but like while I was talking to Basil did my show like 2 weeks ago, and he's like a right-wing Marxist. I think he's kind of being a little cute when he says that, but it's like he does sort of use some of their methodology to understand the situation. But it's like I'm interested in hearing that. My friend is like a legit like reads all this Marxist stuff, like a lot of it, and he's not a social lefty at all. So it's like when he's talking about this stuff, like I'm curious to hear what they have to say. I don't agree, but I'm like, okay, this is still interesting. But when you try to hold both at the same time, it's like, all right, I'm out. I don't need I don't need the lefty social lecture, and I don't need the lefty economic lecture at the same time. They're going to contradict themselves. They don't even make any fucking sense. And, you also have like the liberal thing where everyone's an individual. The race and culture don't exist. I'm out. I'm out. I can't do this. This is too much bullshit, dude. Pick one and maybe I'll listen, but you can't do them all.
To the next thing that was clearly disastrous and going wrong. So I think a lot of it is just
that comes to mind.
Sure, yeah, the complete lack of the J6 pardons that was definitely not going to happen, and then that happened on day one. You had stuff in Minneapolis where they were saying that Trump balked and didn't get what he wanted, even though he got exactly what he wanted, which was local law enforcement supplementing the efforts of federal law enforcement.
What fucking bullshit cope that is. He went in there explicitly to deport all those Somalis who were, that was like the marketing was all the Somalis who were committing fraud. Didn't deport any of them, just deported a bunch of Vietnamese pedophiles, like I've said. But hey, great, get them out of the country. But that's not exactly mass deportations, John. And the big win that he walked away from Minnesota was, now we're gonna work with the jails to deport the illegals. It's like that was already standard. That was already part of that was we didn't. That's how it was already. You didn't get anything. Obama and Biden both did that. Act like it's some big win. It's like you just kept the status quo. Like the promise was mass deportations, the biggest you've ever going to seen, the largest mass deportation effort in history. We're not even getting, we're getting just the standard level of deportations. Like just because he says it doesn't mean he's doing it, John. It's crazy for him to run cover for this and say these things like boldface and just being like, yeah, no, immigration is the most important thing, and that's why I support the president. It's like, you might as well vote for Biden. You might as well have voted for Kamala. We'd be in the exact same situation with immigration. It's crazy.
Enforcement. It was just always like jumping to one different thing after the other. And so I think it may just be like people wanting to get tired of winning and desiring that kind of negativity. I think a lot of it is audience capture. I think a lot of it is foreign audience capture, because when you start editorializing your position to speak more about like the plight of the Palestinians, that's obviously going to appeal to much of the Arab world. But clearly it's losing touch with people who are in Kentucky, losing touch with people who are in middle America. Now, I don't know how long that's going to last, because obviously, GOP voters are getting older and we'll see a lot of change in the electorate in the next 10 years or so. But if I had to guess, I think that's like more or less what is happening. I think the influencers are in the business of chasing influence. And Tucker Carlson, I've had a lot of respect for him throughout his career, so I don't know exactly what his motives are, but I look at some of these other people who have always kind of lily-padded around to whatever seems to be the more hot topics, and it doesn't surprise me that they're doing the same thing now.
Well, listen, I certainly doubt the authenticity.
Just trying to sound above it, trying to sound smarter than everybody. Oh, yeah, no, I'm the one who's been consistent. I'm the one with all the principles. These guys, they're just chasing trends. They're just chasing clicks. Shut up, John. You're completely full of shit. You're totally exposed. I mean, just insane. Just utterly insane. Well, all right, folks, that's going to do it for this episode of Right Wing Pulse. I appreciate you guys hanging out. We just did the one show. We just broke down the one debate, but that was actually kind of fun. I like doing that. We might do that again in the future. Maybe if there's another one of these panels where there's enough to talk about. It was kind of fun. And look, I like Dave. I get some pushback from like the dissident right on that because he's a libertarian, but I like him. I think he's principled. I think he's smart. I think he knows how to dismantle arguments, and he's a good one. He's the best one on this panel by a fucking mile. So we got to say that for sure. But I really appreciate you guys hanging out and watching this show with me. Thank you for all the super chats. GeoGasser just fucking crushing it. Let me think. I'll go through this list. Brian B for the super chat, and Mark Vendy and GeoGasser and Kex Dead. Thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. It's very generous. And everyone else who's hanging out, watching the show, thank you so much. It's a blast. Next time you'll see me will be on Tuesday on the MFR podcast. Maybe with Rebecca Hargraves. I don't know. She didn't give me a date, so I'm not going to announce it until I get confirmation when we can do the show together. But she did say she'll do my show, so she'll be on the show sometime eventually. But you'll know. I'll make sure you fucking know. But thank you very much for watching the show. My views are invalid because I was late to the party. Yeah, I know. I guess I haven't been doing it as long as other people, but hey, whatever. The next show will be Fortnite. I actually fucking hate game streaming. I've done it in the past. I hate it. I love gaming, but it's like I don't want it to be work, or I want to just play the game. I just want to hang out. But thank you very much, Mark. I suck. I appreciate you. All right, you guys have a fucking great night. And next week I won't be here because I'm moving. I'm moving to New York to be with family for a few months. But I'm moving next week, so I won't have this. There will be no Right Wing Pulse next week. But the following week I should be backing up on my feet, in New York. So I'll see you guys then. You guys have a great night.
I said, no, compare the proportion of school shooters that are white versus violent criminals that are black, because that was the basis of the monologue.
I mean, Keir Starmer's not.
Well, he did make a call about this.
No, Keir Starmer is every bit as enslaved as Donald Trump is. It is illegal. It is a crime for which you can be arrested in Britain right now, criticizing Israel.
I want to cut my cock off and scramble my brain with fucking fluoride. I'm gonna win because Netflix is worth $3 trillion. I can't believe the dollars are this high.
It's a society that hates God. It's a society where the family is completely deconstructed and destroyed. It's a society that hates Nazis but loves communism.
You're always confronted with the same stupid question. Does Israel have a right to exist? Does Israel have a right to exist? The real question at this point is whether the rest of the world has an obligation to put an end to this. Put an end to this. Put an end to this.